All right, we are live on YouTube. Welcome to Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli. Glad you could all join me here tonight. I know it's been a while, but I'm back live, and I have a very, very important show that's going to be very interesting. If you are a driver, whether it's for rideshare or food delivery, for companies such as DoorDash, Uber or Uber Eats, Lyft, Grubhub, Walmart Spark, Amazon Flex, or any other of these rideshare / food delivery companies, you're going to want to watch this show the entire way through because I have some very important information to share with you folks here tonight regarding insurance and what covers you and what doesn't cover you and your liability exposure that you're more than likely not aware of. And for those of you that don't know about me, I am actually still currently a licensed insurance broker here in the state of California where I live. I've been licensed for over 15 years. I have not been actively selling for over 2 years, but I'm still actively licensed, so I understand this more than most people out here that I've probably talked about in the past. So you're not going to want to miss this. But before we get to all that, it's been a while since I've run one of these shows, so I want to make sure that everything is rolling smoothly. Hey, babe, I see you in the chat there. My lady is in there respectfully, maturely, and professionally. She'll be, coming out publicly soon, and I'll share more about that in a second as well. But let me first of all make sure everything sounds okay, because it has absolutely been a while. I got the notification that's gone out. Oh, yeah, let me make sure the back end of YouTube is rolling smoothly here, and it is. Tonight, regarding insurance and what covers you and what doesn't cover you and your life. Wow. It's rolling quite well. Okay. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you never forget, right? Even if you haven't done it in a while. All right. Hey, we got 7 viewers here in the box. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Tiffany, how you doing? Welcome back. This is going to be a very interesting show. It's going to be at least 2 hours long. I'm going to try to get it done in about 2 hours, but it may take up to 3 because I don't want to miss anything. And again, you're going to be more than likely shocked and surprised at the information I share with you here. And you may think twice about continuing to drive for these rideshare companies once you realize how much of the liability falls on you. And is it worth it? Okay. Now, a few other things before we get to tonight's topic. My lady says hi to everyone. She's in the chat here. Oh, that's you, Chad. Oh, that's my buddy Chad from Vegas. He's out actually delivery driving out in the Las Vegas area right now. That's his I guess his wife's account. Welcome to the show, bro. Hope you're being safe out there in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let me talk about Chad real quick. Even though it's spelled with an S, it's pronounced Chad. And then I'll share the updates with my lady and what we're going to be doing. Hey, babe, what's up? Oh, baby, yeah, no worries. Don't ban anybody tonight. I'll take care of it. Not a big deal, unless it's something that's known. Hey, look who's here. Holly's Hauntings and Happenings is in the house. Looks like it's you're a channel member here, Holly. Wow. Oh, you're still a channel member. Oh wow. Thank you so much, moderator and channel member. Holly's Hauntings and Happenings. She's a great friend of my lady's and mine, and I've known her for over 5 years. And Chad, once I verify that is your actual account, I will go ahead and moderate you on this channel as well. But speaking of Chad, he's been driving food delivery for DoorDash for many years, and he's seen the ups and downs. And in the near future, maybe even as soon as later this week or next week, we're going to start doing some shows together and sharing with you folks the truth about what a DoorDash / Uber Eats food delivery driver goes through. Because many other channels out here on YouTube, with no disrespect, are just, throwing you a bunch of fluff. Or like one of my favorite channels I follow out here, it's called the DoorDash Sucks channel. And the same guy from Boston also runs the Gig Apps Exposed channel. He calls these channels Fluffer Nutter channels. And I'm like, that's a great name. And when Chad first heard that out there in Vegas, he was like, Fluffer Nutter. That's great, man. You know, and look, these channels are trying to make YouTube ad revenue and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that I'm not, because I both my channels out here are monetized. But at least if I'm going to make money, I want to do it the right way and get you the right information. So Chad and I are going to be sharing you a lot of info. And Chad just made me aware today of something that was launched in this market for DoorDash. It's called Earn by Time, meaning that they'll guarantee you an hourly wage out there. And oh baby, yeah, can you? Holly does have a wrench. And my lady is just passing by, and she has her phone on and listening to the show, which is on a 1 minute delay. By the way, the show's on a 1 minute delay in case I need to dump the delay if something happens. So if you ask a question in the chat, just know it may take a little time for me to respond to you, but I will get to all questions here tonight. Congratulations, Holly. You've been a member here for 5 months at the $4.99 sponsor level. Thank you so much for that, Holly. Greatly appreciated there. But yeah, getting back to this Earn by Time thing that Chad made me aware of. This is something that's been going on here in the state of California where I live. And we have what's called Prop 22 here, where we're guaranteed an hourly wage, meaning that wherever we would pick up our deliveries, whatever the minimum wage is in that city, we get 120% of the minimum wage guaranteed while we're on active time, through DoorDash pay. So if DoorDash lowballs us here on the initial offer, okay, basically, the Prop 22 will make up for it at the end of the week. And then whatever we make in tips is extra, which is really great. Now, this is a very similar thing that you're going to have an option to do out in your area, Chad, and many other, dashers have had this option in their area. But here's the thing. You're only allowed to decline one order per hour if you go Earn by Time in any of those states that aren't protected in the same ways that we're protected here in California through Prop 22. Through Prop 22, not only do we get the guaranteed hourly minimum wage times 120% of wherever we pick up our orders from, but we can also decline as many orders as possible. And we are still considered independent contractors, doing things the earn by order way. Okay. That's the difference between Earn by Time and in other states compared to how it is handled here in the state of California. And many other states in the country are trying to pass similar, laws that will further protect gig app employees. So, Chad, just letting you know a little bit about what you're up against there, and you and I can talk more about this when we start doing shows later on this week or next week. Every so often, my lady will pass by the studio room here, and you'll hear the doors open, and she's just coming in to just say hello. So, that is that. One more thing before we get right to it, because we have a lot to go over here tonight. My lady and I are going to be doing some shows. Again, we haven't done shows in a while, and many people that have followed us for quite some time know my lady's been dealing with some health issues for the last year plus or so. And my lady has shared her story of what she's been through on this channel here, Coach Eli 2 Authentic Live Streams. So if you want to go back and watch some of the former live streams, you'll get to know her better and understand what she's been through. And there are many, many updates that we're not going to talk about here tonight because we have another topic to discuss, but we want to do some shows on it, and those shows will be coming soon. I know that my lady, misses all of you good folks out there, and she just can't wait to come back and, share her progress. And I will just say this, her progress has been absolutely amazing. So stick around for that. Make sure you subscribe, bang the bell, select the notifications, and you won't miss anything here on Coach Eli 2 Authentic Live Streams, the most positive place on the internet. Also, if you want to go below in the description, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my main channel, Coach Eli, Elias, Melas. That's where I do my pre-recorded videos. I've also done some other DoorDash and Uber Eats videos there as well. And I also tackle other, business and personal life coaching topics that may be of interest to you and could help, further your life along on the right path. All right, so that is that. We got 14 people here. Thank you so much for being here, folks. So let's just get right to it, okay? Chad says it's me on my wife's account. So that is him. So you know what? We will go and add you as a moderator. Chad, thank you so much. You can never be too careful out here on YouTube. People clone accounts and stuff like that, right? Are you okay? My lady's in the other room with the dogs, and every so often the dogs jump, and we have hardwood floors, and it sounds like an earthquake when something even minor falls. So don't mind me if I check up on them every now and then. All right. So tonight's topic is DoorDash and Uber Eats drivers can lose everything without proper insurance. One more time. DoorDash and Uber Eats drivers can lose everything without proper insurance. Now, I was talking to my friend Chad in Vegas over the last few days, and he was saying he feels that probably over 90% of people that drive for Uber Eats, DoorDash, or any of the other, gig app companies are either underinsured or not insured properly at all. And you're absolutely right, man. And tonight, I'm going to share information during the first part of the show. I'm going to share with you folks, that the transparency and non-transparency of both DoorDash and Uber Eats. I'm going to share with you folks the gap in coverage that rideshare and, delivery drivers have. And is there a difference between a rideshare driver and a food delivery driver? Let me say that one more time. Is there a difference between a rideshare driver, meaning a driver that is basically like the new wave of taxis that Uber started like over 10 years ago and Lyft did as well? So that's called ride sharing. Is there a difference between ride sharing and food delivery? And is there a difference in the liability exposure for insurance companies and for you regarding which one you choose? Or are they both the same? No one's talked about it. I'm going to talk about it. And I'm going to add my over 15 years being a licensed insurance broker here in the state of California. I understand insurance completely. So if you have any questions, make sure you get them in the chat. But I'm going to be as thorough as possible. So, just listen very, very carefully there. And then I'm going to take a break after that. When I come back, I'm going to go to my favorite place, Reddit. And I'm going to share with you folks what some drivers are putting out there and what they're suggesting for other drivers to do or not to do. It's very, very interesting. I'm going to clear that up here tonight, so you're not going to want to miss that. All right. So where am I going to start off? I've got so much here. Let me go ahead and switch over to the browser source here. There we go. All right, there it is. And this is from the DoorDash help page. And the title is, Does DoorDash provide third-party liability insurance for Dashers? Great question, right? Does DoorDash provide third-party liability insurance for Dashers? So it says DoorDash does provide excess auto liability insurance, keyword excess, auto liability insurance for Dashers, but this insurance only applies to accidents that occur while the Dasher is on an active delivery. Per our independent contractor agreement, Dashers must have and maintain primary auto insurance with minimum limits as applicable by local insurance laws. Well, yes, you are required in each state to carry the minimum liability limits here in the state of California. And as of a few years ago, while I was still selling, and I believe it's still the same, it's $15,35. And what that means is you need to carry liability limits of $15,000 for bodily injury, $15,000 per person, $30,000 max per incident, and then $5,000 coverage of property damage. What is property damage? If you hit a car, that's property. If you hit a building, that's property. Okay, so liability is bodily injury and property damage. Do you think that the minimum limits, $15,000 per person, $30,000 per incident, are going to be enough if you hit a car, that has 3 or 4 people in it and they're injured? It's not going to be. If you hit any car nowadays, unless it's worth less than $5,000, do you feel that $5,000 property damage coverage is going to be enough? Okay. Now, I understand some people, are short on money or don't believe in insurance or whatever. But the bottom line is your insurance is one of the most important things that you should not skimp on, and you should take very seriously, and you should not try to defraud the system one bit. Okay. Now, what are my liability limits on my policy? I have 100, 300, 100. And what that means is I have $100,000 coverage per person, up to $300,000 max per incident, and $100,000 property damage. So think about it this way. Okay. If let's say somebody hits a Tesla and let's say you total it and that car was still worth $70,000, $80,000. Let's say it was worth $80,000, right? That $100,000 of property damage would cover that. But would your $5,000 of minimum property damage coverage cover you? No. So what would happen in that situation when your insurance company is not going to pay because you don't have enough coverage, right? These people can sue you. And if you have any assets, they're going to go after your personal assets, your home, and other things that you own. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I'm broke. I have nothing they can take. So, it doesn't matter what I carry. No, you should still carry the right limits. You should still carry more insurance, because that's not the right way to look at it. And if you ever come into any money or anything, you could still be sued at any time personally, and you will lose. So, you want to think ahead and insure yourself properly. Let's see here. My lady in the chat says, love you to Holly. And Holly says, you too, lady. I'm so excited to share everything with you all. Yeah, we're excited, baby. We're excited. We're going to catch up with you very, very soon. Let's continue here. Okay. So, what is considered active delivery? Dashers are considered an active delivery from the time they accept the delivery request until the time the order is marked as delivered, unassigned, or the order is canceled. If Dashers are online but have not accepted a delivery request, their personal auto insurance is primary. This is where the gap in insurance is, and I'll show you some screenshots that'll, show it or explain it a lot more clearly, okay? So what is active time? Active time is from the moment that you accept an offer. If you get an offer on your phone through DoorDash, Uber Eats, or whatever other app you use, that immediately starts your active time once you hit accept. Okay. So while you're driving, once you hit accept and you're driving to the restaurant or the location to pick up your order, that's active time. Okay. And then active time is until the point of where you drop off the order at the customer's place, home, apartment. What was that? Hold on a second. Oh, I thought I heard a noise in the other room. I'm sorry about that, folks. So, active time stops once you drop off the order to the customer's home or apartment or business or wherever, and then you hit complete delivery, right? Okay. You take the picture and you complete the delivery, and then you are off active time. Okay. Additionally, hold on a second here. Additionally, for coverage to apply, both of the below conditions must also be met. Dashers are considered the liable party for damages or injuries to another party while on an active delivery. So you're an independent contractor, right? Okay. You are liable for, any car you hit, any building you hit, any damage you create or anything like that. You are liable for that. Okay. The Dasher's personal auto policy has denied the claim and provided you with a coverage denial letter. So before the DoorDash policy will even kick in, you got to go through your insurance and they have to deny your claim, which on an active delivery they will. And then you need to get a denial letter to send to DoorDash. And then there goes the battle between your insurance company fighting for you and DoorDash's insurance company. Right? Note, damages sustained to a Dasher's vehicle in an auto accident are their responsibility and should be addressed by their personal auto insurance carrier. Okay. To file a report with DoorDash regarding an auto incident that occurred in the United States, please complete the following DoorDash insurance form. Now, let me go back up here. And this is where it says per our independent contractor agreement, right? When I go to that, okay, I figure I could go there and see DoorDash's commercial liability insurance policy so I can understand what the coverage is, right? But let's go to the next page here. The independent contractor agreement, United States for DoorDashers, right? Okay. And let's go down to, and I know it's going to be hard to see this because it's full screen. Just bear with me. I'll read it. You can also go to the DoorDash help pages online and see this yourself. But let's go to the section where it says insurance. This is what it says here. Insurance. Whoops, where was that? Right there. Contractor agrees, as a condition of doing business with DoorDash, that during the term of this agreement, contractor will maintain current insurance in amounts and of types required by law to provide to the contracted services and cover contractor during performance of the contracted services at their own expense. Contractor acknowledges that failure to secure or maintain satisfactory insurance coverage shall be deemed a material breach of this agreement and shall result in the termination of the agreement and the loss of contractor's right to receive delivery opportunities. That makes sense. Understood, right? Mm-hmm. Number 2, notification of coverage. Contractor agrees to deliver to DoorDash upon request current certificates of insurance as proof of coverage. Contractor agrees to provide updated certificates each time contractor purchases, renews, or alters contractor's insurance coverage. Contractor agrees to give DoorDash at least 30 days prior written notice before cancellation of any insurance policy required by this agreement. Okay, yeah, that's it should be common sense stuff, but most people, they just don't care, right? Most people do DoorDash, Uber Eats, etc., because they're hurting for money and they don't even care about the insurance and the liability and all that. But this is pretty, common sense stuff for people that understand insurance and have it for the right reason or reasons. Number 3, workers' compensation occupational accident insurance. Contractor agrees that contractor will maintain sufficient insurance to cover any risk or claim arising out of or related to contractor's relationship with DoorDash, including workers' compensation insurance where required by law. Contractor acknowledges and understands that contractor will not be eligible for workers' compensation benefits through DoorDash and is instead responsible for maintaining contractor's own workers' compensation insurance or occupational accident insurance. Contractor's maintenance of contractor's own workers' compensation insurance or occupational accident insurance will not disqualify contractor from participating in the occupational accident insurance policy for Dashers, which DoorDash may make available to contractor. And I think they do. They just don't mention it because I'm going to show you folks how Uber handles insurance, which is a lot more transparent than how DoorDash handles it. DoorDash is very, very vague with their insurance requirements and what they cover, etc. Right? They're very, very vague. Why? Because they want as many drivers on the road to take the crappy orders, right? And to be honest with you, I really don't think they really even care whether you're properly insured. All they care about is getting deliveries ordered, right? And if they required everyone to do everything the right way, they would have maybe, 1/4 or 1/5 of the drivers they have out there, and they wouldn't be making as much money. And I think the way of DoorDash, I think the way DoorDash is handling this is going to bite them in the ass in the long run. That's just my opinion there. It's absolutely my opinion there. Let's see here. So that's that. So DoorDash, very, very vague with insurance, and what they cover and what they don't cover. Now, I will share with you folks roughly what they cover because they don't share the exact amounts, but Uber has a policy that is available for drivers to see. And I don't know 100% for a fact, but I'm sure DoorDash's is very similar. They're just very vague on it, right? Let's see here. Let's go over to the next page here. This is from the Rideshare Law Office website, and the title of this article is, Are California Dashers Covered by DoorDash Auto Insurance? This is a law office that, protects DoorDash drivers. And you're going to see here that they've made a mistake in what they wrote. Let's read this. DoorDash doesn't provide primary liability insurance coverage for its drivers. That's true. If you're going to drive and deliver food for DoorDash, you're going to need your own primary policy of automobile liability insurance. That's true, right? When it comes to issue is that, and that's not right, is that the company only requires drivers to have an up-to-date auto insurance policy, but even minimum liability coverage from the worst auto insurance company in California would appear to be satisfactory. And it really isn't. It's not. Now, legally, it suffice, but if you don't have enough insurance, and you get into an accident, it could cost you everything. So that's what people don't understand about insurance. Never skimp on insurance. I'm going to keep saying that throughout the show. Minimum mandatory coverage in the state is only set at $15,000 per person, $30,000 per accident, with another $15,000 of uninsured motorists and $5,000 for property damage. Now, I believe this is a California company here, because those are our limits here. Now, in other states, the limit's the same as California, or the minimum liability limits are the same. Some states require a little bit more, but this is about, this is what minimum coverage is here, right? If a DoorDash driver was looking at his phone and hit a pedestrian, that's not enough insurance to cover a night in the emergency room, a surgery putting a fractured leg back together, and a few days in the hospital. Nope, it's not at all. And if you have any assets and you're not insured properly, they will come after your assets and you're going to lose it all. That's the bottom line. Excess coverage. For the protection of its own assets, and certainly not the protection of its dashers, that's true, DoorDash does provide excess auto liability coverage with a policy limit of $1 million. It only applies to accidents and damages that are caused by dashers when they're in possession of goods that are to be delivered. That's not true. It starts the moment you accept the offer, which is before you get the food. That's where this company is wrong here. And even DoorDash stated that, and so does Uber. Okay? First, the driver must make a claim with his or her own insurance. When that insurer's coverage is exhausted, the insurer of DoorDash might step in with the excess coverage. Might step in with the excess coverage, right? Might. Great words there, right? Coverage doesn't apply when a driver is traveling to a pickup location for an order to be delivered. That's incorrect. Coverage applies the moment you accept the offer. You folks need to rewrite your statement here. I mean, these guys are attorneys, insurance attorneys, and they don't even know the rule. Who wrote this? Right? If a dasher fails to maintain his or her own insurance, it is highly likely that the excess insurer can legally walk away from coverage. Absolutely. Yeah, you got to fill the terms of, of the underlying policy, right? You got to fill the terms of the actual policy, which means the underlying policy, which is your policy, right? Okay. If you don't fulfill that aspect, then DoorDash's commercial liability insurance can deny the claim. And you can try to take it to court and you're going to lose every time. Okay. So I don't need to read any more here. That pretty much states enough. You can go to ridesharelawoffice.com and just find this DoorDash article, or just Google search "Are California Dashers covered by DoorDash auto insurance?" and read the rest of it, which I've read it and it's correct. But what they got wrong here is that coverage on the ride-sharing companies or food delivery companies insurance starts the moment you accept an offer, and it's all the way until you complete the offer and mark the offer as complete in the app. So that is that. All right. Now let's go over to how much better I feel Uber handles things. There's still a lot of liability exposure. I mean, because on Uber, you're doing the same thing as DoorDash if you're doing Uber Eats. But Uber also has the rideshare aspect, which is what they're more known for. That's how they started their company over 10 years ago, right? Now, the liability is still going to be, the same on the food delivery aspect and similar on ride sharing. And I'll explain as we get into it what the difference is here and how companies separate ride sharing from food delivery. Even though on Uber, you can do both ride share and food delivery at the same time. So you got to make sure you're properly covered, and we're going to get to that, okay? But I want to show you at least how much more transparent Uber is over DoorDash, and why, like I've said in the past, I honestly feel at some point DoorDash is going to implode and Uber is going to swallow them up, because Uber handles their company a lot better, and they're much more transparent about things up front than DoorDash is. And the reason why I feel DoorDash has a huger market share is because of their lack of transparency regarding insurance and many other things, where anyone that picks up a phone can pretty much get on and start dashing, right? Unless you've got a crappy driving record, or you're a criminal, But anyone, any Tom, Dick, or Harry can get on the DoorDash. Okay. Uber has always had stricter verification processes, including to get on the app every so often, they verify you, by taking a selfie, right? And then they use biometrics to do that, right? DoorDash is starting to do that, but they haven't fully rolled it out yet. So when you go to the Uber blog, it says auto insurance maintained by Uber, okay? We want you to have peace of mind even if the unexpected happens. Where did DoorDash say we want you to have peace of mind? All they're saying is this is what we cover and this is what we don't. And they're vague about it. When you drive or deliver with Uber, we maintain auto insurance on your behalf. By teaming up with the top national auto insurance companies, we're continuing our commitment to keep you covered and help you feel protected on the road ahead. Uber, I got to say, honestly, your transparency is second to none when you compare it to DoorDash. DoorDash is the most non-transparent company I've ever seen on the planet, right? Changes from one insurer to another. Every year, we renew the commercial auto insurance maintained on your behalf. And this year, the insurance carrier in your state may have changed. Use the map below or the insurance hub in the driver app to see which carrier insures you while you drive or deliver with Uber platform. Oh, okay. It won't show you the policy, but it'll tell you here. Like in California, it's green, and green is Progressive. So Progressive handles the insurance while you're on an active delivery for Uber. But I have the policy. I got it through the driver app. I'm going to show you it in a little bit and explain it. Okay. When you are insured, from the moment you tap go to wait for a trip request to while you're driving to pick up a rider or goods, and until the trip ends, you're insured as a delivery or delivery person on the Uber app. Okay. Well, this right here is a little misleading, Uber, because most insurance companies will not cover you while you're waiting to receive an order. That's where the gap is at. If you have, let's go down below here and see if I can zoom in on this, okay? I got to zoom in on this so you folks can see this better. Okay. Let me see. So, and it's going to be kind of hard to see here. So it says, I'm going to try that. App off, your personal auto insurance. So when you're not driving, your app is turned off. You're covered by your auto insurance for your own personal usage. Once you hit go, or you turn on the DoorDash app, right? And you start dashing on the DoorDash app. So once you hit go on Uber and you click on start dashing, dash now on the DoorDash app, okay? You are online. At that point, that's where the gap of coverage is. Once you accept a trip, like it says here, Uber calls even food delivery trips, right? But they're offers. Once you accept a trip or an offer, whether it's rideshare or whether it's food delivery, that's when their policy kicks in. The gap is from the moment you turn on the app and start dashing or dash now or hit go until you accept an offer or a trip, that's where the gap of insurance is. I think this is something that Uber has gotten wrong. It says auto insurance maintained for you. Third-party liability when necessary. 50,000 bodily injury per person, 100,000 bodily injury per accident, 25,000 property damage per accident. So, I mean, they may actually even, it looks like Uber does cover you during that period, but those amounts may not be enough. And outside of those amounts is when you're going to be on the hook if you have more damage, and that's even if their company decides to cover you. This is the part here typically where you've got to have a rideshare endorsement, a food delivery endorsement, or a combination of both. I'll get to that in a bit. So now, once you accept the trip, and if I move this off to the side here so you folks can see this a little bit better. Let me move this here just for a second so you can see it. Okay. Doing this on the fly, folks. Live television, live TV, right? Okay. When you accept the trip, en route to pick up the rider and on a trip or on the way to pick up a food order from the restaurant, once you accept the offer, auto insurance maintained for you, $1 million third-party liability, uninsured, underinsured motorist bodily injury and or first-party injury protection coverage, contingent comprehension and collision up to actual cash value of car, $2,500 deductible. So what that means is there's $1 million in third-party liability, the people that you hit, while you're on active time, okay? And then as far as comprehensive and collision, okay, there's a $2,500 deductible regarding that, okay? So that's going to be the first $2,500 out of your pocket if you get into an accident, okay? So that's how that works. Let me go ahead and put this there. Give me a second here, folks. And you can find out more about the coverage provided in your state. You can go to the Uber blog, uber.com/blog, and look into Uber U.S. insurance if you're here in the U.S., and you can find out more there. Now, a couple more things I'm going to talk about before I take my first break. We are at 38 minutes and 33 seconds. We're getting through this a lot quicker than I thought, so that's pretty good. If you have any questions in the chat, please, get them in there. Let's see. Chad says, so I would imagine it would work the same with a car accident. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're involved in the car accident, that's what it's all about. Yeah, be more specific on that, Chad. And then Chad furthermore says, how much does this extra insurance cost? It doesn't cost a whole heck of a lot more. I'm going to, I was going to wait to answer that question, but I'm going to answer it now because I'm going to get into the section on what prompted me to do this show here tonight. and why I felt it was very important to share this information with as many people as possible. So this past Friday, I was doing the DoorDash Uber Eats thing like I've been doing for a while. And I had completed a delivery, and I pulled into the parking lot of the hotspot where I wait for orders. Most of you that have been following me know my hotspot has a Starbucks, a Chipotle, a Wingstop, Jamba Juice, Falafel Taza, PetSmart, Office Depot, etc. Right? I was parked right behind the Starbucks. I had pulled in, and I was, in my parking spot for about 5 or 10 minutes or so. And I was about to go in and get myself a coffee. Typically, I bring my own coffee, and I did, but I drank my coffee so fast, and I just needed a little extra jolt. So I was going to go into Starbucks and get myself a coffee. And there was a spot open next to me. And I was also checking some, emails and stuff on my phone. I was totally parked, right? Next thing you know, I feel this little thump that shook my car. And I look behind me, and somebody tapped my rear right bumper. And then they pulled back, and I got out, and it was this young gentleman. And he got out of the car. He was apologetic. His English was not that great, so I wasn't quite sure what the situation was. I looked at my rear right bumper, and everything was intact. It just had a couple of scratches on it, I could just fill in, right? So the damage wasn't that bad. But at that point, I was starting to think to myself, oh man, I don't really want to deal with this. And I wasn't really too sure about, I thought I had the right coverage. I always have had business usage coverage on my car. I've been an entrepreneur for over 15 years, and I used to travel all around Northern California to attend networking events. So I've had business usage. Business usage means you go from location to location. And it's a little more expensive because when you drive to different locations, rather than one location to work and back, you have a greater chance of getting in an accident, right? So it's more of a liability to the insurance company. At that point, I was like, oh man, I just don't want to deal with insurance and this and that, right? And I got the guy's driver's license, and I also asked him for his insurance, and he said, he doesn't have his insurance with him. I said, do you have insurance? He said, yes, I'm with this company. I'm not going to mention it, right? I took a picture of his license. I gave him mine, and got his number, and took a bunch of pictures and all that. And then he went his way. And I told him we'd be in touch, I sat there for about 5 or 10 more minutes. And at that point, I said, you know what? I'm done driving for, DoorDash and Uber Eats. I know this really wasn't the biggest deal, but this was a wake-up call for me. And this is what basically, really, really inspired me and made me feel the need to put out this information for you folks out there. I feel I was very lucky because it could have been worse. Somebody could have been pulling into the spot fast and hit me harder. And even in a parking lot, people drive fast. There could have been an injury, right? Or I could have been on an active delivery and somebody could have run a red light. Or I could have been up in the hills on a blind corner and a car comes fast and hits me head on. There are so many things that people take for granted and don't realize when they're doing this type of work. That was a wake-up call for me. That was a huge wake-up call for me, right? Ended up going home, and on my way home, this young man who I saw by his license was 25 years old, and I asked him. He texted me saying that I'd like to apologize for what happened. Sorry for whatever inconveniences may have caused. I'd like to handle this outside of our insurance companies in an amicable way. And this guy had a brand new Mercedes, like CL300 or something like that. He had like a brand new Mercedes. It was a really, really nice car for a mid, 20s guy to be driving, right? Okay. And I responded and I said, I have to report this to my insurance to cover myself and because of the law and stuff. And I wanted to make sure, even though the damage was minimal on both cars, I wanted to make sure I was under the minimum requirement that does not need to be reported to your insurance company and the DMV. I'm always a stickler when it comes to abiding by the laws. And I'll talk more about that when we get into the second part of the show, where you're going to see what some people are saying about this on Reddit. And it's like, wow, I can't believe how stupid some people are, right? Some people are willing to commit fraud just to save a little bit of money. And we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. But I contacted my insurance company. And when I asked them, when I told them what happened, they asked me a question. They said, were you driving for DoorDash, Uber Eats, or any one of the ride-sharing companies during the time of the incident? And I was not on an active delivery. Here's what people don't understand. I was not on an active delivery. So I told the initial, person that took my claim that the answer was no, because I was not on an active delivery. So they asked me if I was driving for them, so I said no. And then afterwards, I went online, did some research, and I found out everything I'm sharing with you folks here today. I didn't even know about this. And I'm an insurance broker, and I didn't know about this. Now, I haven't actively sold insurance for many years, so I was not aware of this, right? But I found out about this, right? And at that point, I was like, I didn't even really want to put in a claim. The only reason why I put in a claim was I wanted to get a record of what happened in case this guy or his family tries to come around and come after my insurance, come after me. I wanted to have a record of what he said, which admitted guilt, and the pictures proved that he hit me. I wanted to be proactive and get that to my insurance company in case something comes up down the road. And that's what I suggest you folks to do. Always be proactive with everything and cover your ass. That's exactly what I did. But after I got off the phone call and I researched everything, I was like, wait a minute, I didn't know if your app is turned on, you're technically on the clock. So the answer to that question should have been yes. So I emailed. This is what I did. I proactively emailed the adjuster. This was on a Friday evening. I emailed the adjuster. I had the information after the claim, was put through, and I emailed the adjuster and I told her everything. I told her the honest truth, and that's what you need to do, right? And until I talked to the adjuster, she tried to reach out to me yesterday, but we missed each other. But we talked today. I was pooping in my pants. I was shitting in my pants that this was going to affect my insurance. Okay. I've been with Mercury Insurance for over 25 years. Never caused me problems at the best rates. I'm a good driver, right? And I was thinking to myself, could this affect my insurance? Could they drop me? I've heard stories of people being dropped. I was reading this in the forums, right? And I'm like, oh man, what happens if they drop me? Even though it wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. But because I didn't have some rideshare endorsement or the proper coverage, could they drop me? Could they deny the claim if I actually wanted to put the claim through? Well, let me tell you what happened. The insurance adjuster was a wonderful, wonderful lady. Wonderful lady. And she goes, first thing she goes, glad we were able to reach each other today. You have a very nice name. Elias is my full name. I go by Eli, but Elias is my full name, right? And I said, you have a great name as well. And when I initially wrote her the email, I thought it was a male, and I put Mr. and her last name. And I apologized to her for that. And she goes, oh, no worries. She was very, very nice. And I was sitting there, waiting to answer all the questions, right? And I was waiting for her to talk with me about DoorDash and Uber Eats and were you driving for them? And she didn't even ask me. And you know why I don't think she asked me is because I was very transparent in the email. Let me make this very clear to you folks what transparency does, okay? The insurance adjuster that gets your case, if you have to file a claim, even if you're not at fault, the insurance adjuster is equivalent to the judge in a court of law. Your fate is in their hands. So what happens if you lie to a judge in the court of law? They could hold you in contempt. They could, put you in jail, or if you're already going to jail, they can keep you in jail longer, right? So what's the best thing to do is be honest with people. Be honest and upfront with people. And I feel that my honesty after I did the research and found out something I didn't even know, based on a question that the initial person that took my claim on Friday, before I talked to the adjuster on, today on Tuesday, I was honest. And she was going to accept the claim. And she wanted to do all this work. And I said, do I legally have to file a claim? I believe it's under the minimum required amount that needs to be reported to you guys at the DMV. I said, I can get some filler and take care of this myself. And I even told her, I said, I'm actually an insurance broker. I haven't actively been selling in years, but I'm still licensed. So I didn't know a lot of these new, I don't know a lot of these new rules and stuff. But what I do understand is what you deal with in the insurance industry. And I said, if it's possible to just cancel the claim and not have a problem, I'd be willing to do that. She said, yes. Are you sure you want to do that? No problem. We can take care of you. I'm like, no, please cancel the claim. I told her, I said, the main reason why I wanted to even file a claim is to have a record of what happened. So in case the other party decides to do something, I was proactive to make you folks aware. And I said, the notes will stay in your system and they'll be there. So absolutely no problem. I said, I want to make your life easier, make my life easier, make everyone's life easier. I'm a good human being and I just want to do the right thing. Right. And she said, okay, that sounds great. Is there anything else I can do for you? Mr. Melas, blah, 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 blah. Right. I said, no, thank you very much. Very kind. And I appreciate your help. You have yourself a great day. She's like, you have a great day as well. And thank you for continuing to be a loyal, customer to Mercury Insurance. I'm like, yeah, 25 years. You've got the best coverage at the best price, right? Folks, if they wanted to drop me, they could have dropped me. An insurance company can drop you if they find out you're doing food delivery. Right? It's their call. It's the adjuster's call. Right? And if you ever have to deal with your insurance, hopefully you get a good adjuster, because in the past I've had to deal with insurance and I didn't get the best adjusters, but I got lucky and I got a good adjuster. Just like in the court of law, sometimes your attorneys roll the dice and keep getting continuances to get a better judge, right? If you want to roll the dice, that's on you, because your fate is going to be in the hand of the insurance adjuster, right? I got lucky here. I learned my lesson. And I want you folks to learn your lesson regarding this, because I could have been dropped, right? And that doesn't look good if you get dropped on your insurance. But me being honest with them, it allowed the lady to treat me with respect and have empathy. And they took care of me. Plus, I've been with them 25 years, and I've got a great record. I haven't cost them really any money, right? With that being said, Chad, to answer your question regarding, I actually went, my insurance right now, my insurance and rates have gone up. This is the best rate you can get. On my Honda Accord, I believe my insurance is around $1,100 every 6 months. I think it's like $2,200, or $2,300 every year, something like that. It's like $2,300 a year, like $1,150 every 6 months. If I were to get it, the company where I could have added the proper coverage I needed for, I believe it was for 6 months, it was going to cost me, was it 6 months or a year? I think it was a year. It was going to cost me another $600 a year for, having the right endorsements. So if I had, now every company is different, and some companies give you some coverage, depending on how much of the time you spend ride sharing comparing to personal driving. Every company is different, but if I had to give you a ballpark figure on an annual basis, it's probably going to cost you anywhere from $200 to $600 or even more to get the right endorsements, to be properly covered for food delivery, ride sharing, or a combination of both. But there are other options too that are better, and we're going to get to those. Let me go ahead and get to this final part here. We're at 55 minutes here. We got 19 people here. Thank you so much for being here. Greatly appreciate it. Hey, Whoosh Whoosh, how you doing, bro? The ghost of Whoosh Whoosh is here. It's been a while. Thank you for being here, brother. Let's see. All right. Let's switch on over to how Mercury handles this. Okay. This is just an example. Okay. Rideshare insurance. Insurance for Uber, Lyft, and other transportation network companies, TNC. They call them TNCs, transportation network companies. Companies like Uber, Lyft, and other transportation network companies, TNC, offer excellent opportunities to earn a living or bring in some extra cash. Yeah, they do. They do. That's why I did it for 3-4 months or so. I needed some extra money to help my lady out, right? Now I don't need that extra money as much. So, it was a good time to get out. That's another reason. But the main reason was the one I mentioned a little bit ago. Companies like Uber, I already read that. While these app-based on-demand ride services provide drivers perks like flexible hours, TNCs don't provide full coverage insurance to drivers who get into an accident. That's true. Whether you provide ride-hail services, where someone requests a ride for themselves and their own party, or ride-share services where someone can share a ride with another party going to a similar destination, for example, Uber Pool and Lyft Shared, Mercury has you covered. To explain how we're going to just use the term rideshare, but our insurance works for both for as little as 90 cents a day. So let's round it up to $1. For just rideshare coverage through Mercury, which is one of the cheapest and best companies, and you have to have pretty much a perfect record to qualify for Mercury, okay? Basically $1 a day. That's like $365, a year, minus the 10 cents, let's say $350. That's $350 a year extra for it, right? $175 every 6-month policy period if you do it 6 months, which most people do. Some people do a year at a time. If you have a commercial policy, and we'll talk more about those in a bit, commercial auto policy, or also known as business auto policy, those go annually typically. So it's about, $350 extra a year. Okay, let's continue here. How rideshare insurance works. See, this is the same chart there that I showed you on Uber. But I'm going to show you the difference here. Okay. You see where it says ride hailing app off, offline personal use. Your insurance company is what handles your claims, right? Right? Now, if you look over here, ride hailing app on. That means you turn the app on. On Uber, you hit go. On DoorDash, you hit dash now, right? Once you do that, available. This is period 1. Limited coverage provided by ride hailing company, right? And some don't even provide any coverage at all. I think DoorDash doesn't cover anything during period 1, but even if the company does, it is very, very limited. Very limited, right? Full coverage available for Mercury for personal use in period 1, right? Now, if you look over here, let me move this off the side here, okay? So we can see this here, right? Now, the moment you accept a trip, right? A trip for rideshare, for Uber or Lyft, en route period 2 and on trip period 3. Coverage provided by ride-hailing company. That's when you get the $1 million of liability coverage for, from, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, etc., right? So how do you properly get covered during period 1? Let's continue here because this is going to be eye-opening, and most of you didn't know this. And there have been a few other videos I've seen regarding this on YouTube, but they weren't as clear and detailed as I'm doing it here today for you folks, okay? So let me move this back into place. When driving for a TNC, their commercial insurance policy kicks in once you accept a fare or are transporting a passenger. However, the commercial TNC policy only provides limited insurance coverage when your rideshare app is on, but you haven't accepted a fare. That's the period 1. That is the gap in coverage right there. Period 1 in the graphic above. Rideshare insurance from Mercury protects you and your vehicle in the event of a covered loss during this time. It is important to understand that without the rideshare endorsement, your personal auto insurance policy only provides coverage when your TNC app is off. When your app is on and you're looking for a fare, you may not have coverage. May. It's up to your adjuster. And are you going to roll the dice on what adjuster you get, whether they're having a good day or not, right? Just like rolling the dice, hoping you get a good judge in court that's going to be empathetic and sympathetic? Come on. How rideshare insurance limits risk. How rideshare insurance limits risk, which is what I'm trying to say. So what happens if you get into an accident waiting to pick up a fare? You might be on the hook for damage to other vehicles and drivers as well as yourself and your own car. Rideshare insurance mitigates risk during the time between fares. So basically, while you're waiting for an offer from these apps, this is the period that you need either rideshare insurance, you need food delivery insurance, or a combination of both. Let's continue. I'll explain more in a second. Mercury has you covered. Our rideshare coverage, with a 2 next to it, can help fill liability gaps and provide you with premium insurance that gives you excess coverage when the TNC coverage is in effect. If you get into an accident and you're liable, Mercury Insurance will pay to fix the damage to the other vehicles, cover any resulting injuries, and take care of having your car fixed at one of our authorized repair facilities. Number 3. Now, the number 1 was, where was the number 1? Well, it says right here, actual cost may vary depending upon, I think it was the 90 cents where they put number 1, right? Right there, 90 cents a day. Yeah. Actual cost may vary depending upon coverage selected and other underwriting factors. Purchase of a Mercury auto policy at an additional cost is required. Right. Number 2, coverages may vary and are not available in all states. And number 3, subject to policy limits and eligibility requirements. Mercury coverage is secondary to ride-hailing company coverage. Right. Right. Oh, man. You folks out here that are here to find out what your risk is, and if you've been doing this for a while, and you're like, wow, should I go back out there tonight or tomorrow and drive for these companies? You may change your mind by the time I'm done here tonight. So these are a bunch of questions here. You can just go to Google, search Mercury Insurance, insurance for Uber slash Lyft, and you'll find this article there. But I have one more Mercury article here from their blog. I believe it's from their blog that's going to really, really be an eye-opener. So let's get to that before I take my first break here. And let me make sure that my audio is still coming through. Okay. Give me just a second here. Oh, man. You folks out here that are... All right, yeah. It looks like we are doing okay. And yeah, look who's in the house. Hey, JT, a.k.a. Sea Bear. How you doing? Hey, man, how's it going? It's going quite well, bro. You know, I have not been paying that much attention to the drama in your world. I have completely blocked all that out. You're one of the few people I still am connected with. Love you like a brother. Always will. It's great to see you here, bro. Yeah, we're talking about the liability exposure that most people don't know about while they're driving for rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft, or food delivery companies like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, etc. Yeah. All right, let's continue here. Do I need a separate auto insurance policy if I'm driving for Uber, Postmates, or work? Well, Postmates was purchased by Uber Eats last year. So Postmates no longer exists. Well, the app still exists, but it's actually Uber. So when they say Postmates, they're talking about food delivery. Okay. So just think of, because this was written in October 2020. It still applies today. But since that time, Uber Eats / Uber Technologies has purchased Postmates. Postmates used to be one of the best companies I heard to drive for. They had the best payouts and the best tips. So anyway, let's continue here. Let me see if we're still on the screen. Gone are the days when seeing an Uber on the road was a novelty. More than 1/3 of Americans have used the ride-sharing company's app for a Lyft, and an estimated 2 million people in the U.S. now drive for ride-sharing companies like Uber or Lyft. It is a flexible work option that is appealing to many as a side hustle or full-time job, especially since drivers can set their own hours. However, many drivers may not have the right type of insurance coverage to protect them while using their vehicle for work. Yep, that's true. Rideshare drivers often have a gap in their insurance coverage that they may not know about. I didn't know about it, and I'm an insurance broker. Now, again, like I've been saying, I've been selling insurance for years. But man, I'm glad I found out about this before anything, could have affected me, right? Said Kevin Quinn, Vice President of Claims and Customer Experience at Mercury Insurance. A driver's personal auto insurance has them covered while they're driving for personal use. That is, with the ride-hailing app turned off. Now, I had business usage on my policy, right? But even with business usage coverage, which is above personal, coverage, right? For personal use, meaning pleasure driving. And then there's work school usage, meaning going to and from the same school every day and to and from the same workplace every day. And then there's business usage, going to different locations every day. I thought I was properly covered. I was not. I even found out about this as an insurance broker. Again, I haven't been actively selling for years. But yeah, wow. So you got to be careful. This is true. Rideshare drivers, again, often have a gap in their insurance coverage that they may not know about, said Kevin Quinn, VP of Claims and Customer Experience at Mercury. A driver's personal auto insurance has them covered while they're driving for personal use. That is, with the ride-hailing app turned off. So when the app is turned off, they have coverage. Hi, babe.
Hi, sweetheart. I want to say hi to JT and Wishwish. Did you see them in the chat?
I did. Yeah. It's a hot mic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. My lady.
I just want to say hi.
My girlfriend says hello to Woosh Woosh and JT, John Tuttle. So thank you again for being here. Let's continue. Companies like Uber or Lyft offer partial insurance to cover the driver and the driver's vehicle once a fare is accepted. And while they transport a passenger, this leaves a gap in between when a driver has turned on their ride-hailing app to search for a fare, but before they have accepted a trip. So it's the same thing for food delivery, right? Right? Once you turn the app on, once you've hit Dash Now or Go on Uber, and whatever you need to do to turn on the other apps, that's when their coverage starts. Okay? So this leaves a gap in between when a driver has turned on their ride-hailing app to search for a fare, but before they have accepted a trip. If a driver is to get into a collision during this period, they may not be covered by either form of insurance, which means they might be on the hook for damage to other vehicles, injuries to other drivers and passengers, as well as damage to their own car and their own medical expenses. This is what you folks out there don't understand. You talk smack about insurance companies. You talk smack about insurance being fraud and the fake. Okay, look, we all have our own opinions, right? But this is what your liability exposure is, right? And you can cry all you want, but if you get into an accident and don't have the proper coverage, you're going to be on the hook. Then you can cry even more at that point, right? Mercury Insurance offers ride-hailing insurance, providing the coverage needed to fill that gap and mitigating risk between fares. However, now listen to this. If you're a food delivery driver, listen to this. This is critical. However, ride-hailing insurance only covers a driver for ride-sharing work. One more time. Ride-hailing insurance only covers a driver for ride-sharing work. Depending on the nature of business conducted with your vehicle, like restaurant employees who deliver food or a Postmates driver. Now, let's equate a Postmates driver to a DoorDash driver or an Uber Eats driver on the Uber app, right? Or Grubhub, right? Food delivery, right? When they say Postmates driver here, they're talking about someone that does food delivery, which now includes grocery delivery and includes prescription deliveries and anything like that. Delivery service, right? Because ride sharing is not delivering, it's transporting people, right? Okay. So again, depending on the nature of business conducted with your vehicle, like restaurant employees who deliver food or a Postmates driver, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, a business auto insurance policy may be a better fit. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. Okay. Your personal auto insurance policy won't cover you if you happen to get into a collision while using your vehicle for work such as deliveries. Let me repeat that one more time. Your personal auto insurance policy won't cover you if you happen to get into a collision while using your vehicle for work such as deliveries. Businesses such as catering, construction, or farming that operate out of trucks, vans, or SUVs can benefit from a specifically designed commercial auto insurance policy to get coverage for liability, collision, and comprehensive, for example. Now, we're not talking about food trucks. We're not talking about, the bigger deliveries. We're talking about being a DoorDash food delivery driver where you pick up food from, say, a Chipotle and then take it to the customer. But it's still, they're looking at it in the same way. They're looking at it in the same way because the liability exposure is the same. And I'll share my thoughts about that in a second. Whatever kind of work you use for your vehicle, whatever kind of work you use your vehicle for, it is important to speak with your insurance agent to ensure that you're getting the right amount of coverage to help ensure you and your business can operate safely. Okay. Let me share my thoughts on this before I take my first break here. And then we're going to come back and go over 4 or 5 Reddit postings. They're going to be very, very interesting. But first, the chat. JT in the chat, who's under the CBear account. Well, I have never seen a driving job that the driver doesn't have some possible liabilities, even driving for the government. True. CBear says, hi, RMP. And then JT CBear says, it's a shame there isn't a giant gap insurance for drivers of all kinds. Well, every risk is different, JT. And based on the nature of the risk is what drives up the cost of insurance. So the greater the chance of an accident happening based on what you're doing, where you live, zip code, and all that stuff, that's what your rates are based off of. I mean, you can have the same exact coverage. I can have the same exact coverage in San Francisco that I have here in Redwood City, California, where I live. San Francisco is 30 miles north of me. My coverage in San Francisco would cost me 30 to 40% more. Why? A lot of one-way streets, a lot more traffic, greater chance of an accident happening. That's just the way it is, man. It's always been that way. And if you can't afford to live in a big city, you don't do it. You got to take all that into consideration before, you live in a certain area or do a certain type of job, right? Or drive a certain type of car, right? JT says, even for example, a school bus driver, they can be liable for injuries and such. Well, the school bus drivers are typically on a commercial auto policy, either by the school or the bus driving company, right? So they're covered under that. They're getting paid an hourly wage. School bus drivers are typically not independent contractors. They're employees of the school bus company or the school they're driving for. And they're paid an hourly wage or a salary, and they are covered by a commercial commercial business auto policy, okay? Or commercial auto policy, same thing. Business auto policy is what it's called. That's different, bro. What we're talking about here is independent contractors that are not insured properly. When you work for somebody else and you drive a commercial vehicle, they have commercial insurance for you. There's a big difference there. We're talking about independent contractors is what it is. All right. What else was I going to say? There was something I was going to say. What I learned from this article here is that there are insurance companies that only cover ride sharing and not food delivery. And there are companies that cover both. Okay? So if you're just driving for Uber rideshare and Lyft rideshare, this Mercury policy would cover you, or this Mercury rideshare endorsement would cover you. But it would not cover you if you drive for Uber Eats, the Uber Eats part, or the DoorDash part, or, what do you call Grubhub, right? If you do food delivery, there are not a lot, but there are, several companies out there. Not all of them will cover you for this, but there are several companies out there that will cover rideshare and food delivery. And, it really doesn't cost a whole lot more. For me, it was going to cost, I believe, an extra $600 a year because I have a Honda and Hondas retain their value. And I also have full coverage on my car. So, depending on what type of car you drive is what the rates are going to be based off of, right? A lot of people will drive a beater for DoorDash and Uber Eats. And if that's the case, your cost is going to be a little bit lower. But again, what you really want to do to make sure you're properly insured is you got to research online and find a company. Like if you're going to do food delivery, you got to make sure that any one of these, rideshare delivery endorsements on a personal auto policy are also going to cover food delivery because most of them don't. There are companies that do, and I'll name one off the bat that may be a good fit. Progressive is one that offers, at least at this point, they offer rideshare / food delivery driving insurance. Now, let me share one more thought about my thoughts about why food delivery is not covered by many companies, but ride sharing is. In my opinion, you have a greater chance of getting into an accident when you're doing food delivery than when you're doing ride sharing. And that's because when you're doing food delivery, okay, you're going to be taking more than likely 2 to 3 orders per hour, whereas when you're doing ride share, you're going to do 1 to 2 ride shares per hour. Okay. And when you're doing ride sharing, what you're doing is you're going to the place where the people are at, you pick them up, and then you take them to where they want to go. And then that's it. And then you look for your next, you look for your next ride. Okay. When you're doing food delivery, you've got so many other things that, could distract you, could affect you, could make you upset. You accept an offer, you got to go over to the restaurant, find parking, right? And then you got to get out of your car, you got to go into the restaurant, and if they're running late on the order, you're going to be frustrated. And then you got to grab the food, put the food in your hot bag, use a hot bag, folks, if you're going to do this, right? And then you got to go to your car, pull out of your car, and you got to drive to the customer. And you have a clock. You have these companies like DoorDash and Uber Eats, they tell you an expected time. And if you're too late, they can actually give you a contract violation for that. So a lot of people are rushing these orders because of that, and to also get more orders. When you're doing rideshare, it's a different thing. So in my opinion, based on what I just said, and I hope it makes sense to you, rideshare, yes, there is a great liability, but there's a greater liability risk when you're doing food delivery. And folks, I'm going to share some stories with you on some deliveries I've done way up in the hills on some crazy roads that, I wouldn't go back on again unless I had a truck. Like I got to tell you, some of these deliveries I did to make a little extra money that I needed during that time, the juice almost wasn't worth the squeeze. That's another reason why I'm not going to be doing this anymore. But yeah, I'll tell you, folks, a lot of you out there that are doing the DoorDash and Uber Eats thing because you need a little extra money, right? And you want to work for yourself and you're tired of working a W-2 job, right? You don't understand the liability risk. Every time you get out there and you're driving from delivery to delivery to delivery and you do 15 or 20 a day, you have a great chance of either causing an accident or somebody running into you, running a red light, running a stop sign, somebody swerving on the freeway. If you're going to do this type of work, folks, take it easy, don't rush, and have the right insurance coverage in case something does happen. So it doesn't, cost you everything. Because, again, if you're not properly covered and you get into an accident and you have assets, they're going to come after your assets. They're going to clean you. They're going to basically take everything you own to make up for it. That's called liability exposure. If you have any questions regarding that, even though I don't sell insurance at this time and may never sell it again, I am still licensed and I'm legally allowed to talk about insurance. And that's why I'm doing this here today, because I have 15 years of experience in the insurance industry, and I've also done DoorDash and Uber Eats for a while now, and I've experienced there. So that's that. We are at 1 hour and 23 minutes. Let's see. No, they aren't fully covered, brother. Well, they're supposed to be. I would never take a job. Now, if they're independent contractors, JT, if these bus drivers are being hired as independent contractors, that's a different story. But if they are employees for the company needs to have a commercial general liability policy and business auto policy. If they're independent contractors, then these companies need to make sure that this driver has the right insurance. Because what's going to happen if you're driving someone else's vehicle for their business as an independent contractor, that person causes an accident, your business is still going to get sued. That's what happens, man. You got to cover yourself. JT says, like for the school district, the drivers themselves can be liable. It's crazy, but I swear it's true. No, anybody can be liable for anything, bro. The bottom line is you got to do the best you can and cover yourself the best you can through your insurance, and by being truthful and honest, man. You should look it up. No, dude, I've heard every story. I sold insurance for so long. I believe you. I get what you're saying. Anyway, folks, I'm going to step away and take a break. I got to queue up some royalty-free YouTube music here. Let me just do this real quick. Hopefully you folks have learned something here today. Oh, yeah. Let me come back with one of my favorite songs. All right, we're all queued up, folks. All right, folks, let me get back to full screen here. All right, music is all queued up. I'm going to step away for a 7, 8, or 9 minute break. And when we return, we're going to go over 4 or 5 DoorDash postings, and you're going to see what people are saying about this in some of the DoorDash forums on Reddit, and how naive some people really, really are. And they're just asking to lose it all because of their stupidity, right? Because of them being stubborn, and because they don't want to, pay, few extra bucks a day or so to cover themselves properly. So stick around for that's coming up right after the break. So stick around, round. We'll be right back. for it. My most favorite song in the YouTube audio library is coming up. It's Ethan Mixel and Double Helix. Hit it, Ethan. Hit it, Ethan. Yeah. Yeah. Rip it, Ethan. Rip it, baby. Rip it. Let's feel it. Let's get that energy up. Energy up. Energy up. Oh, man. I love this song. This was a song I used to play on my former channel years ago during a show I used to run called Coach Eli Live. Boy, those were some interesting days. Maybe I'll release some of that content sometime soon. Who knows? All right, we gotta lower the music. Lower the music, Eli. All right, gotta settle down. Gotta settle down, Coach. Settle down. You got a show to run. You got a show to run. All right. Welcome back to Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli, live here on YouTube, live on Coach Eli 22222. Authentic live streams, the most positive place on the internet. Glad you could all join me here tonight. I know it's been a while, but I'm back, and there's a lot more to come. Okay, so before we get to the show tonight, look at Holly in the chat there. She's all excited about that. Aren't you excited about that, Holly? Yeah, folks, just want to remind you, a friendly reminder, it's not necessary, but to remind you folks, this channel here and my business is primarily funded through crowdfunding and your donations. So if you feel it in your heart and soul that you want to, support the channel monetarily, you can do so in one of many ways. You can go below at the bottom of the chat and click on that super chat and send a super chat or super sticker. You can also donate via Cash App or PayPal. Nightbot's been sharing my Cash App and PayPal links in the chat every 7 minutes. I believe Nightbot. Is Nightbot there? Where's Nightbot been? Nightbot has not been here. Well, I'm going to have to re-engage Nightbot. I don't know what happened to Nightbot. Anyway, on Cash App, you can go to... let's see. I lost it there. You can go to $ the real Coach Eli. It's $ the real Coach Eli on Cash App, and on PayPal you can go to paypal.me/Coach Eli. Also, once the replay is finished processing, once this show ends, you will see the super thanks. You can even donate in the comments section on the replay of this live stream through the super thanks. It'll put a highlighted, paid comment in the chat, and you can do that. And as always, donations are greatly appreciated, but they are not required. I wonder if I can actually re-engage Nightbot. Right now, let's see. Give me a second here. Looking to see if I can re-engage and get Nightbot going because we need Nightbot. It also helps moderate the chat. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, folks. Give me just 1 second here. Okay. Yeah, so for some reason, I guess since it's been a while that I did a live stream, I had to have Nightbot rejoin the channel, but he should be back momentarily. All right. Before we get back to today's topic, I just want to make you folks aware that there's a lot more content coming to this channel. My lady and I plan on doing a catch-up stream with all you folks either later this week or starting early next week, and we're going to start doing some more regular content again. And then my friend Chad, who's probably he might still be listening. He's doing deliveries for DoorDash in Las Vegas. Him and I are going to start doing some shows together regarding the gig economy, our experiences, doing the gig economy, etc. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. In addition, I'm going to bring back something that many people miss. I'm going to start doing more of my Walking with Purpose live streams right here on Coach Eli 2 Authentic live streams. I don't know when I'm going to restart them. It may be sometime this week, but probably by, next week, those will be coming back regularly. That's just going to be great. I really missed all of you folks. I had to step away to, take care of some business for a little while, but it's great to be back, and I look forward to what the future holds. I think he turns off after a certain amount of time. Yeah, you're probably right, but I re-engaged Nightbot, so I think Nightbot is going to start chatting again, so that's all good. That's all good. All right, folks. Tonight, we have been discussing DoorDash and Uber Eats drivers can lose everything without proper insurance. One more time. DoorDash and Uber Eats drivers can lose everything without proper insurance. In this first part of the show, I shared a lot of information that anyone and everyone that's either already, driving for these gig apps needs to know, or if you plan on driving for these gig apps, you need to know. And you need to understand truly what your liability exposure is completely before you do this, because most people aren't aware of it. They aren't explained it by their insurance agent or through these companies. And then an accident happens and you're SOL. Everyone knows what SOL stands for, right? Holly's laughing. What are you laughing about, Holly? I know there's a 1 minute delay here, but what are you laughing about? It's all good. All right, let me get to the chat before we get to these Reddit postings here, and they're very interesting. But let me make sure my audio sounds okay again. Let me make sure. Give me a second. Breeds drivers can lose everything without proper insurance. This first part of the show, I shared a lot of information. All right, so far so good. Everything's running well. Okay, so JT says, he's the Sea Bear channel in there, one of our moderators. Nah, even full-time employees, they can come after your assets. My mom was a special needs driver for the school district. She retired. Well, anyone can sue anybody for any reason at any time here in the U.S. and probably in other countries, but I can only speak about the country that we live in here, right, JT? And that is the thing. That what people don't... Huh? Hold on a second. All right, folks, I need to go see my girlfriend for a second. I'm going to play a song and I'll be right back. Give me a second. my lady thought I was asking her if she was okay. And she told me to come outside for a second, and it's all good. She's just resting on the couch, relaxing. And so it's all good. My apologies for that, folks. Anyway, we should be back. Let's read again what JT was saying up there, cocaine bear, sea bear. Nah, even full-time employees, they can come after your assets. My mom was a special needs driver for the school district. She retired. Yeah, and again, like I was saying, JT, that anyone can sue anybody for any reason at any time here in the U.S. You can never have too much insurance. You can never cover your ass too much. You got to do the best you can to protect yourself, and people need to learn to be proactive, be more proactive than reactive. And that's, it's not easy. It's not easy. And, when you're younger, you don't understand that, but then you learn from your mistakes. By the time you get to an adult, you should learn how to be more proactive and, take liability exposures into consideration. I think the things that people take for granted, one of the things that people take most for granted is insurance and liability exposure, because most of the time things aren't going to go wrong. Like when you have insurance, for most of the time, things are going to be fine. And then you're like, okay, well, why am I paying the insurance company all this money when I never need to use it? Well, I mean, do you want to get into an accident all the time and use it all the time? I mean, who wants to get into an accident? It's there in case something happens. And insurance, is basically a pool of people, putting money into a pot. And if someone needs to use it, that's what pays the claims. If everybody that bought insurance made claims all the time, there would be no insurance companies. They would go belly up. It doesn't work that way. Okay. It's a piece of mind type of thing, right? And people just don't realize it until it's too late. But anyway, the Ghost of Whoosh Whoosh is asking, are you returning to YouTube full time? I don't know if I'm going to say full time, but I'm going to be doing a lot more content than I was. I don't know if it's going to be at the level I used to do it, but it'll be more than I was doing it while doing the DoorDash and Uber Eats thing. And I will be tackling a lot of your subjects as well, Whoosh Whoosh, and answering any questions you have regarding, I know you've been making some comments through some of the pre-recorded videos that I've done on my other channel, Coach Eli, Elias, Melas. And we're going to be doing specific shows on that right here on Coach Eli too. Like I said, a lot of the delivery / ride sharing type of shows I'm going to be doing with the gig economy apps, are going to be done with my friend Chad from Vegas. And so that's what's going on. Yeah, and JT, I read your comment there. I'll handle stuff behind the scenes, but I mean, those are things I would rather not discuss in the chat. Those are things that we need to do behind the scenes. I'm here to help people as best as possible. This is a serious nature topic, and I want to stay on track. But that's something that we can figure out behind the scenes down the road. But yeah, thank you, man, for that. The Ghost of Whoosh Whoosh, are you quitting DoorDash, Uber Eats? Yeah, I mentioned earlier that I'm no longer doing it, and I shared my reasons. If you missed it, you're going to want to go back and check out the replay of the first part of the show. I'm not going to repeat it again because, there are people that have been watching the whole show, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. But yeah, I am no longer going to be doing it for many, many reasons. And I think many people, after they watch this entire show, are probably not going to want to do it, or they're going to fear doing it because of the great liability exposure that I didn't even know existed until I did it. And until, something happened, which I explained during the first part of the show. So thank you for that, Whoosh Whoosh. Appreciate it. All right. So again, since I took a little break there, let me make sure that my audio is still okay. All right. We are good. All right. Let's get to the fun part of the show here. I was just passing the message. I know you were, bro. I get it. Not a big deal, man. All right. Let's go over to the browser source. And I believe all of these Reddit postings are from the subreddit r/DoorDash. This first one is titled, "What are you guys doing about auto insurance?" It's a great question, right? I mean, I've read all these and I just couldn't believe what I was reading. Question: I reviewed my policy with my insurance company and they informed me they don't cover DD, which is DoorDash, as it is commercial. Well, it technically can be considered commercial insurance. The one thing I failed to mention before going to break, the best way to cover you for DoorDash and Uber Eats and Uber Rideshare and Lyft Rideshare. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. I thought I heard a noise. We have hardwood floors here and everything shakes. And, you worry about, somebody getting hurt. Anyway. Yeah. So a commercial policy will cover you the best. It'll also cover you during personal usage, which people don't understand that, right? So if you really want the absolute best coverage while you're door dashing, doing Uber Eats, whether it's food delivery or rideshare for Uber or Lyft, a combination of both, a commercial auto policy or business auto policy would be the best way to do it. And you'd be surprised. It doesn't cost a whole lot more than your regular personal auto policy. A company that writes some great business auto policies would be Progressive. I would just basically check out Progressive. I used to actually sell Progressive through the broker I used to be an independent contractor for, and they always had some of the best business auto policy rates. And I believe, like I was mentioning earlier, even Uber and Uber Eats, they have their business liability insurance through Progressive here in California. In other states, it might be different. But anyway, I called DoorDash and they have some coverage, but it was ridiculous small. I want to add more coverage, but I don't drive a commercial car. How is this even legal? I'm in New Jersey. Well, let me show you folks this. I didn't show you this during the beginning of the show. Let me go and show you this image slideshow. How much better and more transparent Uber is. When you go to the Uber app, look at the information they show you, and DoorDash doesn't do this. They show you every trip using Uber is insured, liability coverage, contingent physical damage coverage, and injury protection. They're very transparent. Contingent physical damage only applies if you have this coverage on your own insurance. Correct. You have to have your policy as the underlying policy. I mentioned that earlier. Let's see. JT Seabear says, I don't blame you for your decision not to do that DoorDash Uber Eats anymore. Yeah, it's too great of a liability risk. And not only that, it's just too much of a risk, with crazy drivers out there, man. And then going into these hills and I mean, there were times where I had to park my car down the street to walk up a hill that I couldn't, navigate my car through to drop off a delivery. And I'm like, it's not worth doing this, man. It's just not worth it, And here, it has my name, operator Elias Melas, insurer Progressive, coverage start date March 1st, 2023. It has the policy number. This is Uber's Progressive policy when you're on an active delivery, right? It says period 2-3 policy number and period 1 policy number. There's two policies, one for period 1 and one for period 2 and 3. Period 1 is the time where you have the app on and you're not on an active delivery, and period 2 and 3 are when you're on an active delivery. Right? And here is the certificate of liability insurance for Uber. I was able to get that through the Uber app. I couldn't find it online, but it was on the Uber app. DoorDash does not show this, right? And I'm going to actually zoom in on this here a little bit. And I want to show you the other pages here, okay? I want to show you the actual coverage. This is the period 1 coverage, okay? This is when you have hold on a second. This is when you have the app on, but you're not on an active delivery. So your liability to others for bodily injury liability is $50,000 each person, $100,000 each accident. Now, I can't confirm this for DoorDash, but I can, because they don't show. I think DoorDash mentioned it. I think it is the same for DoorDash, but I haven't seen a physical copy of the insurance policy because I looked everywhere and DoorDash doesn't have it available like Uber does. I love the transparency that Uber has over DoorDash. So during the period where you have the app on and you're not on active delivery, you have $50,000 each person for liability and $100,000 for each accident. And then for property damage, you have $25,000 each accident. So that's not a whole lot of coverage there. Okay. So, anything above that is going to be your responsibility. What if you hit a Tesla? It's worth $100,000. Okay. That's why you have to have good liability insurance. And at the very least, like what I have 100, 300, 100, 100,000 each person, 300,000 each accident, and 100,000 for property damage, right? Folks, you got to cover yourself properly. Now, bodily injury liability sublimits for injury to occupants of auto operated by delivery driver, right? So if you have occupants in your car, so you're doing, let's say people are with you during period 1 where you're not on a ride, like someone's riding with you, like a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. The limits are $15,000 each person, $30,000 each accident, right? That's all. It's very little, right? Let's go to period 2 and period 3, okay? The last page is what makes sense. So now, when you're on an active delivery for Uber and for, Uber Rideshare and Uber Eats, right? And I believe it's the same for DoorDash. I can't fully confirm it. I think they did write it, but I haven't seen their policy, but I think it's the same. So when you're on an active delivery or active rideshare, your liability to others covered through Uber is a $1 million combined single limit. Okay, that's called CSL. Combined single limit means that between bodily injury and property damage, so someone getting hurt and their car or other property being destroyed, for that instance, you have up to $1 million of coverage combined between bodily injury and property damage. And that's how most commercial policies are written. They're written with a combined single limit for bodily injury and property damage, unlike most personal policies, personal auto policies, which is what I'm trying to say, do bodily injury and property damage separately, right? Okay. But look at this again. Bodily injury liability sublimits for injury to occupants of auto operated by delivery driver. Okay. Okay. In this case, it's still $15,000 each person, $30,000 each accident, right? Okay. Bodily injury liability sublimits for injury to occupants of auto operated by delivery driver. So in essence, your liability, if you hit other people, they're covered up to $1 million. The people in your car, if they get injured and stuff like that, this is minimal coverage here. You got to have the right coverage. You got to have the right coverage, right? And look at the comprehensive and collision deductible, right? $2,500, right? So that's basically, for comprehensive and collision of the other car, right? $2,500 deductible coming out of your pocket. You got to pay the first $2,500. The sublimits for occupants are a part of and not in addition to the $1 million bodily injury, property damage, combined single limit. See related exclusion. Okay. So there's the coverage right there. Now let me go ahead and put this back to regular size here. Let's see. All right. Okay. Let's go to the next screen. And here's what Uber furthermore puts in their app. Now, I'm in California, so we're covered by Prop 22, and many other states are trying to enact similar, protections for gig app workers, independent contractors that are gig app workers. Injury protection paid for by Uber. The passage of Prop 22 in California brings many benefits to you as a driver or delivery person who uses Uber. One important benefit is Uber purchased injury protection. If you get into a covered accident, this coverage will help protect you and your family from financial hardship. No need to enroll or pay for it. Your coverage automatically begins 12/16/2020. Benefits include disability payments, medical expenses, survivor benefits. For more information, contact the insurance company. There's a policy number. How transparent is that? Where is your policy number, DoorDash? Where is your transparency, DoorDash? You show none of this on your app or on the web. This is why DoorDash is going to go under, folks, because eventually the more and more people that get in accidents and they're not covered and because of the lack of transparency, DoorDash is going to get sued. I'm telling you, they're going to. Right now, they're just trying to grow as fast as possible and make as much money as possible before all the executives, in my opinion, just tap out. It's only a matter of time. And they've already started to sell stock, which is what I'm hearing. So you're eligible for injury protection benefits for accidents that occur while waiting for a trip in California and while on trips that start in California. For injuries covered through injury protection, benefits may include disability payments, earnings replacements up to $1,342 per week, medical expenses, accidental medical expenses to a maximum of $1 million with no deductible or copay. That's great. Survivor benefits up to $320,000 for your eligible dependents. It's great coverage, man. Great coverage. How to report an accident. Even Uber tells you how to report an accident, right? How to report an accident. And again, I don't have to read it. The fact that they even just have this much transparency is wonderful to me. That's why I think that DoorDash will go under eventually, and Uber Eats. Uber Eats. They're going to be the delivery company of choice because they're doing things right. Or they're doing things, let's say, more right than DoorDash, right? All right. So let's go back to, I forgot to show you folks that earlier. Let's go back to the actual Reddit posting here. I called DoorDash and they had some coverage, but it was ridiculously small. I want to add more coverage, but I don't drive a commercial car. How is this even legal? I'm in New Jersey. Well, you can have a commercial policy on a personal vehicle if it's used for commercial purposes. What's your experience? If you get in an accident, the claims adjuster will ask you if you were driving for any rideshare companies at the time. You simply say no. No, you don't say no because that's fraud. That's lying. And they will find out. And you will get dropped and probably fined or sued or end up in jail. That is stupid. I was an auto adjuster. Oh, so you were an auto adjuster. Okay. So you had an insurance license and you were an insurance adjuster for years. And as long as the insured said no to that question, I covered the claim. Your job is to do your research to protect your insurance company. This guy did not do a good job. Not at all. There were plenty of times I could tell they were likely lying. But at that point, unless I had concrete proof they were doing gig work, there was nothing I could do. Well, I think you were just wanted to make your job easier. Maybe you felt some empathy for these people, but that's actually not your job, right? It's actually not your job there. You're costing your company money because people, should be doing the right thing. Also, do not tell the cops you were in the middle of delivering a DoorDash order. It is likely they wouldn't include that on the police report, but you never know. If they press you, just say you were picking up food, and if the adjuster asks you about that PR, just say, yes, I was picking up food for myself. Don't listen to this guy. This is fraud. This is lying. This is deceitful, and it's going to get you in trouble. And if you even get away with it, you're going to pay the price for it in some way, shape, or form down the road. Another response says, this may be good advice for someone who has already been in an accident but didn't have the proper coverage. However, if you haven't been in an accident yet, I think this is terrible advice. I think it's terrible advice overall. Just pay the extra $15 a month for the rideshare add-on from your insurance company. It is not worth the risk of getting into some huge debt because your insurance company figures it out just to save $15 a month. I agree. I'm going to give you a big round of applause for that. Great answer, great response, and a good human being there. Do you know if they come out and look at the car, if it's totaled? Yeah, they're going to have you take it to one of their authorized service centers. And if a police officer took a report or the person that you hit took pictures, if anyone sees any DoorDash, Uber Eats, any paraphernalia that can identify you as a delivery driver and you lied, you're going to pay the price for it. Bottom line. Okay? Like, what if they see a DoorDash bag in the car or something? Well, just because you have a DoorDash bag in the car doesn't mean you were on the clock at that point or delivering, right? Right? I've been carrying my bags everywhere I go, even when I'm off duty or when I was off duty, right? But what they can do at some point is get a subpoena by a judge, and ask DoorDash and Uber, was this person on the clock on the app during this time on this day? And were they on active time or were they just waiting around for a delivery or a ride or to do a ride, right? And if they do that, come on, you know what's going to happen. This is piss poor advice by that first person there. Not hard to grab your stuff out before they come. Usually it takes them a day or two to get around to it. Again, you're telling people to be dishonest, and I don't agree with it. Exactly, and to be honest, I have had the total loss adjuster send me pics with hot bags in the vehicle, but there was nothing I could do. That's because you can't prove whether they were on the clock or not unless you get that information from the company. If you pushed it far enough, you could. The bottom line is that you'd probably need a court subpoena, and getting that would be a pain in the ass. So you just let it go, right? And you let the person get away with not learning their lesson, right? That's why we have so many spoiled people in this world nowadays. You are 100% able to have normal insurance as a gig worker. Yeah, but you're going to be underinsured or not insured. It is just that the way the policies are written is if you get in an accident, normally you're fine, but if you're dashing, it isn't covered. Just have to make it clear you weren't. I know it's scummy, but so are insurance companies. Okay, you have that attitude, and let's say you get into an accident and they don't cover you. Or you lie to them and they find out you're lying, and now you're fined, and you get dropped by your insurance company, or you end up going to jail. This is dumb advice, folks. Dumb advice. Be honest. Be honest and be proactive. I have State Farm, and they asked about it. They said they only require the commercial if more than 50% of my miles are working miles. I didn't end up getting it because how would they possibly know how many miles I use for work, LOL. That's called the honor system. Okay? Thought that was pretty stupid. Whatever these insurance companies offer you, or if you have an agent saying that, yes, you're cool, you don't need this coverage or this and that, get it in writing. Get it in writing from your agent, right? Because if you have to deal with a claim down the road and your agent gave you misinformation, now you have to sue your agent. And that's going to go on their errors and omissions policy, right? Cover your ass. Even if you do have a DoorDash bag, that doesn't mean you're actually dashing. Just toss it into the back seat. Right. Mine are in the back seat. Right. Right. That is true. But if you were actually dashing, you got to tell them you were, because that is logged on DoorDash's system or in DoorDash's system. One of the reasons I tossed out the DD bag and bought insulated grocery bags instead. I disagree with that. If you're going to drive for DoorDash and Uber Eats, the best thing to do is use their branded bags. You know why? Because it identifies you as one of their delivery drivers, and it allows these restaurants to get to know you and feel safe while you go in there. Now, you don't have to use their bags. You can buy the other ones that are not branded. But again, these bags with the brands are going to identify you better. and they're going to allow the people at these restaurants and other stores you go to pick things up or shop at, they're going to basically feel more comfortable with you being there. They're going to trust you more. You aren't supposed to tell insurance agencies that you deliver for DoorDash. Also, don't tell anyone you're DoorDashing if you get into a wreck. This is wrong. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. You are lying and committing fraud, insurance fraud. Look at the penalties for insurance fraud. I know in California it's very high. It's probably similar in your area, in your state. It's as simple as that. You don't have to tell the insurance where you work. If they must, yes, you do have to tell them where you work, because that's part of your liability exposure. Your rates are based off of your liability exposure, and where you work is going to allow them to calculate how many miles to and from work each day. You are wrong. You are absolutely wrong, and you're getting false information here. If they must know, just lie. Nope, don't lie. Be honest, because they will find out, and you will pay. They aren't going to ask you for your paycheck stub anyways. You got to tell them where you work honestly. And let me tell you, if you get into an accident, they're going to check your odometer. Your insurance agent will check your odometer initially, right? Or you give them your odometer reading at that point. And then if something happens, they will check your odometer again. And trust me, if it seems off, they can deny your claim or worse. 5-year Dasher, I have full coverage. Was T-boned at a light, not my fault, while driving to drop my drop-off, and never mentioned anything about DoorDash. Luckily, the person who hit me had full coverage, so their insurance paid for the car and for my pain and suffering. Well, you were not at fault, sir. You were lucky, right? Some guy hit me. I was not at fault. They tapped my bumper. It was minimal coverage, and my company was going to cover it and then go after his company for it. The point of the matter is that you should still have the right coverage. And in your situation here, there was no need for you to lie, even if it was okay to lie, which it's not. Because you were hit, sir. You're not liable for that. But yes, I will tell you honestly, there was a fear that for me, that I could get dropped by my insurance company for doing DoorDash and Uber. And if I wanted to put the claim through, there was a fear they weren't going to cover it. It's all up to the adjuster that you get. It's their call, right? So just be honest. This is bad advice. Very bad advice. Let me see here real quick. You're recovering from, oh man. Yeah, sorry about that, JT, that you got the, that's not good, man. Hopefully you're doing okay. Yeah, it is fraud, Holly. It is totally fraud. You never want to lie you never want to lie, period. But this is not even a white lie. It's a blatant lie, right? I was in an accident recently, but I wasn't working. My insurance just asked if I was or have I ever transported someone for a fee, which I said no, because I haven't. I think they are more concerned with whether you are transporting people because of the liability involved. Here's the thing. They ask you, have you ever done delivery for these companies? If you have, say yes. Then they may ask you, were you on an active delivery while it was happening, or were you sitting in a parking lot or somewhere driving around with the app on? You got to be honest. This is what people don't get about this industry here. They don't get it. Yeah, they are concerned whether you're transporting people because of the liability involved. You're a liability in yourself. You can hit other people while you're out there driving all day and rushing to make it to your deliveries on time, right? So you don't get a contract violation. You are a liability risk to the insurance company. You are. You can just get rideshare coverage. It's not that expensive. But if you decide not to get the extra coverage, then don't tell your insurance company you were delivering when you got the accident. If you're going to get the rideshare coverage, make sure it also covers food delivery, because most companies that offer rideshare coverage only offer it for Uber and Lyft rideshares, not food delivery. Progressive offers both, and several others do too. Make sure it covers food delivery as well as rideshare. I've seen posts of people saying they have insurance with State Farm that covers DD, and it isn't ridiculously high. Yeah. You guys just check with your company if they offer it. If they don't, then either change to a company that does or stop doing it. I wasn't going to change carriers just to continue driving for DoorDash or Uber when I had the best rates through Mercury, and I've been with them 25 years. No way. It wasn't worth it to me. Thank you. I'll have to look into them. State Farm covers me with my regular policy as long as less than 50% of my miles are for gigs. If that's in your contract and you have it in your contract, okay, and it's online, and it's in their terms of service or whatever, that's fine. Check with your agent. Make sure your agent writes you something or gives you something signed that you are. Don't just take their word for it. I'm up in North Jersey, and I have full coverage through Geico. I use my car for 9 to 5 and told Geico I drive about 30K or more a year, and I occasionally use it for work. I didn't tell them I do gig work too. My insurance is expensive. It's about $3,200 a year. Well, you must have it's $3,200 a year because you drive 30K miles. That's a lot of mileage. So you're more prone to getting into an accident. That's probably a good rate for 30K miles, right? And maybe you have business coverage or, work school coverage. It's above pleasure coverage. But you need to get the rideshare endorsement to include delivery. And I don't think Geico offers food delivery. I think they only offer rideshare coverage. But I could be wrong. I've looked into this, but I can't remember everything right now. I'm not going to go through all that. You folks can do that research on your own. Okay. You might be rolling the dice there by not telling them. I am paying about $2,400 a year with Allstate. Yeah, I pay about like $2,200 with Mercury. Full coverage and everything. I even have extra coverage for Uber and Lyft, but I don't drive for them anymore. Uber Eats is covered for some reason, though. DoorDash, Instacart, Grub, etc. aren't covered. Well, I think the thing is Uber is more transparent about what they cover, and then the other companies are not. I've heard that Grubhub doesn't cover you, but DoorDash does. They're just not transparent. They don't show their policy. They just write it on their website, so I don't trust anything I can't see a physical, proof of insurance on. But yeah, DoorDash does have coverage. Instacart probably does. I haven't looked into that. And I've heard Grubhub doesn't, but how can they be in business without? Look into it, folks. Protect yourself. I pay $600 a year for and no, I'll never tell them I use it for work. Well, then you're just putting a lot of risk on yourself. I used to have Allstate, and I specifically asked my agent if DoorDash is covered, and they said no. So I switched to Progressive and added rideshare. Their customer service person confirmed twice with me that DoorDash is covered on their rideshare in Ohio, and it's covered here in California too. I think they cover it in most states. They not only cover rideshare, they also cover delivery driving. Okay, rideshare insurance alone does not cover food delivery or delivery of groceries or delivery prescriptions or anything that DoorDash and Uber Eats does. It only covers Uber rideshare and Lyft rideshare. You got to have both coverages. All right, let's go to the next one here. Check out the chat here real quick. Okay, we're still good. Still have 15 people here. Thank you so much for being here, folks. Hope you're getting value. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat. Do I legally have to tell my car insurance that I DoorDash? And if so, do rates typically go up? I don't do it full time, and I don't know if I'd make enough money for it to be worth the expense. I bet if you did it and got into an accident the first day you did it, and it cost you everything, I bet you would have been happier to have the extra coverage. This is the problem people have. Well, I don't do it that often. It only takes one time. It only takes one time to lose it all. You should call. I work for State Farm, and we don't need to do anything as long as it's less than 50% of your miles. I've already read that from another forum. Don't end up getting fucked over because you wanted to save $15 a month. This was probably the same person that said that in the other forum. Just don't tell anyone you were dashing if you get in an accident. That's not good information. Be truthful. Let them know the truth. They will find out. Sheesh, my bad. literally totaled my car while driving Uber Eats and mentioned it to insurance. Didn't know it was different insurance. They processed my claim and didn't say anything though. LOL. State Farm sounds good. They got the guy who I trust from commercials. LMAO. So this person here did not have the coverage and totaled their car, and their company paid. He got a good adjuster. Remember, the adjuster makes the final decision on whether your claim is processed or not. The adjuster is like a judge in a court of law. Your fate is in their hands. Okay? And even if their policies say, hey, if you drive for DoorDash, we're not going to cover you, it's still up to them if they want to cover you. They can if they want. Right? You got lucky. You got lucky. If you're going to continue driving, get the coverage. From what I know, it's not a criminal act to hide it from your insurance company. It is a criminal act. It's fraud. It's fraud. That's why our rates are so high, because people like you commit fraud. You won't go to jail. You could. You probably will get fined or get dropped. At the very least, your insurance company will drop you and not cover you. Possibly. But you could. They could press you for charges. They could press charges on you, They could. It's fraud. Insurance fraud is one of the biggest issues we have in this country. That's why our rates are so high, because of insurance fraud. It is a criminal act. But using it for business purposes without telling them could mean they will refuse your claim, and should you get in an accident while on the job, then you'll be stuck paying for all the repairs. If you lie to your insurance company, it's fraud. If you lie and they pay out a claim they wouldn't have paid, you have defrauded the system. How would they know? Trust me, they'll find out. Police have a knack for putting things in the police report, like whether there was a DoorDash delivery bag in the car. Right. Depends on the company. You are using your car as a business vehicle, so you might want to. It's up to you. Some don't care as long as you aren't using it for ride sharing. I'll tell you this. See, you folks think that ride sharing has a greater liability exposure than food delivery. And the truth of the matter is, it's the other way around. I thought that too, and I've been an insurance broker for 15 years. But again, I've been actively selling for years. But I thought the same thing too, and that's not the case. There's a greater liability exposure for food delivery than rideshare. Yeah, running a business using only personal insurance is fraud. It's not fraud, you're just not covered. What's fraud is if you get in an accident and they ask you a question and you lie. If you're in an accident and they find out you were dashing, they will deny your claim and cancel your policy at a minimum. They may cancel your policy and they may deny your claim, or they might accept your claim. It's up to the adjuster. But if you lie to your adjuster, they're going to be more prone to not help you. Don't lie to people. God. You need to add commercial insurance to your policy. That's the best thing to do, is add commercial insurance. At the very least, go with a company that offers you rideshare insurance along with food delivery. It's the rideshare endorsement along with the food delivery endorsement. Okay? Progressive offers it all in one shot. Or get a commercial business auto policy. It'll cover the whole thing. It'll cover everything as the best it can. And it'll probably be maybe even a little bit, it could possibly be even a little bit less than adding the endorsement through your personal auto policy, or around the same price. You just got to shop it around. I used to do that for a living. I used to shop people's insurance for them. That's what I did. You need to add commercial insurance to your policy, which, depending on the company, is usually an extra $10 to $30 a month. But he's not running a business, and neither am I. We're contractors or employees now. I'm not sure. For DoorDash, Uber Eats, is there a difference? Yes, you're an independent contractor. You're self-employed. You're responsible for your own insurance. You're responsible for your own everything. You got to get your own health insurance, car insurance, business insurance, everything. You're so naive. So many naive people. And I'll tell you why, because DoorDash is not transparent about this. And they have the majority of the market share. So most of these people go through DoorDash and they find out the hard way. We are self-employed. We are running our own business. Correct. All DoorDash does is facilitate a matchmaking service between us and the customers. Right. They make you offers. You take them or not. You're an independent contractor. Doesn't matter if we don't have our own company name. We're still making money. Thus, it is a business. Correct. We're independent contractors, just like I was when I used to sell insurance for my company. I was an independent contractor. And thus, personal insurance doesn't cut it. So how come I don't have a business license? Because you're an independent contractor. Not every independent contract requires you to have a license. Now, I was selling insurance, so I was required to have a license to sell insurance. But besides that, I didn't need a business license to hang my insurance license with my broker. They have the business license. In essence, I was kind of working for them, but for myself, basically. So all they were was a place where I ran my insurance quotes and policies through. That's it. And we had a commission split, right? That's it. Because they basically set up all the carriers, and they also had a staff there that would help manage the policies for us agents. But we were all independent contractors. Okay? These people are so young and naive. They don't know this stuff, and it's going to cost them. And I hope I can save as many people as possible. Holly says, people act so stupid sometimes, LOL. Yeah, you're right, Holly. You're absolutely right. Thank you to the 15 people still here. We're at 2 hours and 27 minutes. We're probably going to hit the 3-hour mark, and then we're going to wrap it up here. We're going a little bit longer than I expected, but this is definitely worth it. So how come I don't have a business license? Because you're self-employed. Well, there are certain things you can do as a self-employed entrepreneur that don't require a business license, and certain things do. In this case, you're not required to have a business license to work as an independent contractor for DoorDash. You just have to have the right insurance. That's it. That's it. Let's go to the next one here. God, these earphones hurt my ears after a while. It's okay. Just not used to having them on. But let's continue here. All right. Most Dashers don't have car insurance, and DoorDash thinks they do. Well, then they're lying, furthering the fraud. I do DoorDash as a side business and also sell insurance part-time. Life, health, property, and casualty. I have the same licenses. I've had them for over 15 years. They're still active, but I'm not actively selling. I have a life and health insurance license and a property and casualty license, right? This is casualty insurance. So property insurance is home, auto, not auto. It's home, condo, renter's insurance is property. Casualty insurance is auto. What most Dashers don't know is if you don't have commercial insurance and you get in a car accident while delivering food, you are not going to be covered. It is a commercial activity. Better check your policy. Yeah, technically it is, but there are policies that have endorsements that will allow you to add this aspect on your personal auto policy. You just got to make sure you're with a company that actually allows you to add that. But the absolute best thing to do would be to go with a commercial business auto policy. Okay. Commercial auto policy, business auto policy, same thing. Okay. Let's see. It's commercial activity. Better check your policy. Tear off the receipt. Hide the heat bags. No, don't do that. That's fraud. You're lying. That is piss poor, dumb, stupid advice. That's going to cost people a lot of heartache and time and possibly losing everything. That's dumb advice. Is it possible for insurances to know? Can't they investigate? Yes. And if they think you're lying or the claim's going to be big, they will investigate and they will find out and you will pay. You will, at the very least, get dropped, owe the other party that you injured a lot of money, and they're going to come after all your personal assets. And if you don't have any personal assets, if you ever come into any, they'll come after them at that point. Don't ruin your life over something stupid like this. Don't be naive. They investigate the stories of both parties. They do. Absolutely. Doesn't insurance keep track of cars' mileage? Yeah, but they're only going to do it, like if you get in an incident and then you go get the car repaired, then the place where you get the car repaired will report the mileage to them. And a lot of companies like Mercury, which is who I've been with for 25 years, they have their own approved auto shops. So yes. So if something does happen, they will check your mileage at that point. And depending on the time frame of when they last checked your mileage to the new time, if it seems a little bit off, if there's more mileage there, they're going to wonder what you're doing. Like if there's more mileage than you've stated as your annual mileage rate, they're going to re-rate you and they're going to ask you questions. They're going to increase your rates. Be honest. You got to be honest all the time. Wouldn't they get suspicious if you're driving 20K miles annually? Yeah, if you stated you drive 10, you drive 20, of course, there's a greater liability risk. There are so many things insurance can get suspicious about and possibly start an investigation. That's why you got to be honest. I called my insurance agent and she said it was fine with regular insurance as long as it wasn't more than like 32 hours a week. I'll pass on paying extra. I'd have your insurance agent put that in writing with their license number and signature. So that way, when you get denied a claim or get dropped, then you can sue your insurance agent's errors and omissions policy for the loss. Many insurance agents I used to work with would promise things to customers that weren't true just to sell the policy. Because in most cases, something never comes out of it. But if something comes out of it, they can sue you. They will go after your errors and omissions policy. And if you're working for a company like I did, okay, I was on my company's errors and omissions policy, okay, which had like a $10,000 deductible. I'd have to pay the $10,000 deductible. And you don't want to be the one that causes a claim on that policy. Because then they'll drop you and then they'll sue you to get that money back. Don't be stupid. Don't shortcut shit. Do things right the first time. Come on. It's ridiculous what I've been seeing here. Most Dashers do know, and DoorDash doesn't care as long as they're getting orders delivered. This is exactly why DoorDash is going to go under at some point. Sooner than you think. Let me read that one more time. Most Dashers do know, and DoorDash doesn't care as long as they are getting orders delivered. Big round of applause! That's it. DoorDash knows the majority of their drivers don't have adequate insurance. They have the minimum. And DoorDash doesn't care as long as they get their orders delivered. Tony Xu, CEO of DoorDash, you should be ashamed of yourself. You know exactly what you're doing. You lack so much transparency because if you actually were more transparent, you would have 1/3 or less than 1/3 of the drivers you have out there right now. It's okay, Tony. Your day will come, man. Your day with justice will come, and that will come, in my opinion, through ways of the Lord. I know some people may not believe in the Lord, but I do. And I know most people do. Your judgment day will come. Some people may not pay the price legally, but their day will come with the Lord. Do you really think that most Dashers know they aren't covered by insurance for an accident? I do not think they do. That's why I'm doing this. You're right. Another big round of applause for that. Absolutely perfectly stated there. Yep. All right, nothing going on in the chat there. We still have 15 people in the box. Thank you so much. And now we have 7. We just dropped. It's okay. Not a big deal. You can watch this on the replay. They do. Don't ask, don't tell. Most don't, actually. Most people don't know. I thought I was fine with business insurance, with business usage. I got lucky. My insurance company didn't question me. Well, I didn't cause the accident, but even then, I was worried, and I'm not going to put myself in that position ever again. I ain't paying the extra $150 to $200 a month. It's not $150 to $200 a month. It's like maybe $30 a month at the most, $15 to $30 a month. Unless you have a crappy driving record, and if you do, then these companies will run your motor vehicle report, and you won't be able to drive. I'll take my chances and try my best to hide everything and play it off in case of an accident. Well, I wish you the best, sir. Officer Banana 53101. I wish you the best. If you're going to live life like that, rolling the dice, then good luck to you. I'm only paying about $20 a month. You would have to be young with a terrible driving record to be paying that amount. Right. And if you have a terrible driving record, they won't hire you because they run your motor vehicle report. This person here, Officer Banana, is full of crap. I'm 20 with only one 10 over speeding ticket. Well, that would prevent you from driving, because if it's on your record, unless you went to traffic school and it was removed, if it's on your record, you cannot drive with these companies. You have to have a clean driving record. Are you male or female? Males pay more than females. Yeah, well, that's because, we're hot rods technically when we're younger. I never was, but a lot of guys I went to high school with, had fancy cars, and they would just race those cars up and down the street. It was scary and ridiculous. How long have you had your license? If you had your license for less than 7 years in Massachusetts, you're rated higher. Here in California, it's under 25. And yes, it is true that, males do pay a little more than females, because technically they think males are, more of a lead foot than women. It's some legal stereotype. It's always been like that. You start getting your best rates after you hit 25, because by then you have more driving experience. And the more driving experience you have, and the cleaner your record is for more years, the lower your rates are. Okay. Other states, your rate's higher if you're under 25. Yep. Like California. Also, the amount of accidents related in your geographical area. These are all factors. That's true. I'm a male, had my license for 3 years. I lived in Mass. If I lived in Mass, it'd be way cheaper, but I'm in Rhode Island. Insurance prices in Rhode Island is crazy. Well, if you've been driving since you were 16, then you're probably 19 years old. And let me tell you something, your rates are going to be astronomical. And you don't have, honestly, the experience to be driving for DoorDash or Uber Eats, because you don't have any experience really driving for pleasure. I think DoorDash should make a requirement that you need to have minimum 5 years of driving experience with a clean record to drive, because if not, then you're at risk. You're at risk. You don't have the experience. And experience can save you a lot of accidents, because you're being more proactive than being reactive, right? Okay, let's go to the next one here. Car insurance coverage while dashing. I just found out that my auto insurance company will not cover me or my car while doing DoorDash. What do you guys do for coverage? Look at this answer. Number 1, don't crash. Well, we never want that to happen regardless, but you should have coverage. Number 2, if step 1 fails, don't tell your insurance company you DoorDash. No, tell them the truth. Don't lie. Stop lying. You're committing fraud. And you're hurting the system for everyone else, and you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get in trouble at some point. I cannot stand people that ride lines, skate lines, and play the system. It hurts good people. That's why our rates are higher, because of people that think like you and do things like you say to do here. Don't do this, folks. Well, number 1, yes, don't crash ever. Hopefully, never happens to you. But number 2, be honest with your insurance company. Just don't tell them you DoorDash. If you get in the crash, just say you were picking up food for yourself. No, tell them the truth. They will find out. If they look into it and they find out and get the proof, then you're done. Former insurance agent here. That's fraud. Just FYI. Yeah, big round of applause. It is fraud. Former insurance agent here. That's fraud. Just FYI. Well, I'm still a licensed insurance agent, but I guess you can say I'm a former selling agent that's still legally and currently licensed. And that is definitely fraud. Absolutely 100 million, billion, trillion% fraud. No doubt about it. I can't believe how dumb people are. And now the response, get out? No. If you're saying to get out because that former agent is saying it's fraud, you get out and grow up. State Farm, they include commercial coverage on all their policies by default. It saved my ass a few years ago when I got in an accident delivering and Domino's refused to cover me. I pay like $60 a month, I think. Well, some companies may cover you on that. Each company is going to cover you at a different level. You just have to talk with your agent and have them show you documentation of your actual coverage. Don't just take their word. Have them show you documentation. I'm in the same situation now. Happened tonight, and I'm at fault. Ooh. Hope State Farm covers me. When I first signed up a year ago, they said they see good delivery just like any other kind of driving. I called them a few hours ago and told them what happened. They didn't ask if I was doing rideshare or food delivery at the time, to my surprise, unless they intend on asking me on a follow-up call. Well, you have not spoken with the adjuster yet. You spoke with the customer service rep taking the initial call, right? Probably during off hours, right? But you're going to have your judgment day with the adjuster, which is the judge of your claim. It's like the judge of the court of law. So if your adjuster asks you, were you driving for DoorDash or delivering for DoorDash or had the app on waiting for an offer, and what are you going to say? No? You're going to lie to the adjuster? Hope not. They're going to make a follow-up call with the adjuster. Will call you. I added it to my insurance. It is worse that they find out even if you don't have an accident and drop you or raise your rates high for no reason. I've read this before. This is perfectly written. At first, they said it was like $39 a month more. I figured $1 a day is fine, but then I had to add uninsured and underinsured, so it's a bit more. I was paying like $70 a month, and now it's like $110. Okay, so you're paying an extra $40 a month, and you're fully covered. $110 a month is still cheap for insurance. I pay about almost $180 a month. But I also, have a Honda. It's a 2017 Honda, and they retain their value. And so, I have full coverage with a $250 comprehensive and collision deductible. I have low deductibles. That's another thing you should look into. Try to get your deductible as low as possible if you need to make a claim. Less out of your pocket. That's cheap insurance there, $110 a month. That's great. I still would not bring up that I'm dashing if I have an accident. Why not? You have the coverage. Why would you not bring it up? Which would only apply if I have food in the car. I think DoorDash is supposed to cover some of it, but they are bigger crooks than that mafia that run insurance companies. If you do rideshare with people in your car, it is a much worse situation all around. The liability exposure is actually a little less for ride sharing. The only time things get bad when you're ride sharing is when you get bad people and they fight in your car or they try to beat you up. And that's rare, right? Yeah, you need to tell if you have the coverage, you got to tell them. And you should tell them regardless, right? And your company, yeah, if they need to go after DoorDash's insurance company, after they pay out your claim, they will do that. Trust me. Your insurance company is going to try, to find out who's responsible. And if it is DoorDash, they will go after them. If they have to go to court, they will go after DoorDash's insurance company and get what they're owed legally. So you're not one here to decide what happens in the insurance industry. So don't sit there and say, okay, I pay for the extra coverage, but I still wouldn't tell them that I do DoorDash. Then why do you even have the coverage if you're not going to tell them? What's the point? Right? But you should tell them whether you have the coverage or not, and you should have the coverage if you're doing it. This is dumb. These people are just dumb. Hypothetically speaking, I wouldn't bring up the fact that I am dashing. You have to. If I got into an accident, who's going to know what you're doing before the accident if you're the only one who knows? Because if you're logged on the app, it is logged on some server. And if it goes to court or they subpoena information, you're screwed. You don't need commercial insurance. I mean, yeah, technically you do, but there are some insurance companies that will have ride-sharing add-ons. That's exactly right. And I've been saying that all along. They refer to Uber, DoorDash, etc. as rideshare. I have a Liberty Mutual policy, which I believe is one of the cheapest you can get. You simply start a quote, and when it asks if you have rideshare, just follow the prompts, and you'll be Gucci. Well, you got to also make sure that that rideshare endorsement through Liberty Mutual also covers food delivery. Ride-sharing and food delivery are two different things. And if you don't see it clearly stated when you're getting your quote, then you need to ask and get it in writing from the insurance company, or you're not covered for food delivery. It's just rideshare. Except DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub aren't ride-sharing apps. You're right. Well, Uber has a ride-sharing aspect. That's how they started, but they also have food delivery. So with Uber, if you're going to do both ride-sharing and food delivery through Uber, which you can, you got to make sure you're covered for both. I specified that they aren't ride-sharing, but for car insurance, they group all categories, including food delivery, under ride-sharing. I thought the same thing too. It is not the case. My company, Mercury, and many others only cover ride-sharing and not food delivery. Okay? I even asked Mercury. Okay? And it's also online. You saw it earlier when I showed it. It's just a category sorting method. You can call them and ask directly for confirmation. You need to make sure if you have a ride-sharing endorsement and you're doing food delivery for DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, that you have food delivery coverage as well specified. If not, you're only covered on ride-sharing. Uber, rideshare, and Lyft, rideshare. That's it. Thanks for all the great feedback. I would not recommend dashing without being properly covered insurance-wise. Big round of applause! Big round of applause. I'm going to go to the last Reddit posting here because down here, just more stupidity. Don't tell him. Get a create. You can't even speak or spell probably. A very large freezer hot bag. Place crate in car with bag inside. Keep food safely in bag inside crate during delivery. It not only prevents food from getting all over your car, but if you zip it up, nobody can prove you were on DoorDash if you get in an accident. Well, if they subpoena DoorDash's records, they will find out that you were either on an active delivery or you were waiting for an order with the app on. Don't lie. Bad advice. Okay, this is the final one, folks, here. Make sure you get any questions, comments, or concerns in the chat. We'll be going off the air in about 10 minutes or less or so. We are at 2 hours and 49 minutes. Is it worth it to adjust your car insurance for dashing? Dashers, do you tell your insurance company you dash for the extra coverage? If so, how often do you dash? I asked my State Farm agent and he said I was covered with my regular insurance. About a month later, I got into a fender bender that was my fault while dashing. My insurance paid off, no problem, no effect on my rates. Of course, I've had State Farm insurance on both my house and cars for decades, so that probably helped. It does. If you've been with a company for 25 years and you have a good record with them, they are more prone to help you because you're not a liability to them. If you're a liability to your own insurance company, why should they take you? Right? Think about that. If you're a liability to your own insurance company, why would they want to insure you? It's there for peace of mind if you need to use it. Right? That's it. They told me I didn't need to pay extra either since we're not driving people, just food. It depends on your company. Maybe that's true. Make sure you get it in writing. Make sure it's in the terms of your contract. And you disclose it, which is another factor. Some companies won't charge more, some do. But if they ask you and you say, no, not good. If you say, hey, I sometimes use my car to dash, well, then that's on them because they will be aware. Well, some companies may include it as part of their business usage coverage. And instead of rating you for pleasure usage. They may rate you for business usage, right? Okay. So it all depends on how your individual insurance company handles these apps. That's it. I called my State Farm agent and asked if I needed anything extra for food delivery, and they said no. My State Farm agent said yes, it only cost me $2 more a month. Well, that's nothing. That's $24 a year. Why would you not get that? No, never, and I used to dash quite a lot. I always ask where you are coming from, and if you are doing any type of work. I often use DoorDash or a ride for hire company as example. On the claims I work, so you're an adjuster. And the insurance company will find out anyways, especially if you injure another driver. Of course, because they're going to go to court. And what will happen is that your insurance company can subpoena the records of DoorDash, Uber, and anyone else, right? And then they're going to find out that you lied to them. And then the court of law is going to find out that you lied. What do you think is going to happen if you lie? If you don't end up in jail, you'll be fined a lot. You'll be dropped from your insurance company, and it'll be hard to get a decent insurance rate ever again, or at least for a while. On the other hand, insurance is about risk tolerance. Right. If you are willing to risk it, then you'd answer your own question. Right. If you're dumb enough to not protect yourself, I don't know what to tell you. It's the people that are the cocky ones and, the dumb ones that always pay the price, right? So if you're someone that's been paying for insurance for decades and you've never been in an accident, okay, and then you complain that you're paying when you've never been in an accident, I don't know what to tell you, because the moment that you don't have the right coverage or less coverage is the moment that the accident will happen and then you will pay. It's called Murphy's Law. Don't mess with it, right? Yup, and ask any personal injury attorney or paralegal, and one of the first things they do is 1, check the insurance policy, 2, issue interrogatories, questions asking things such as, where were you going? What were you doing? Were you using your vehicle to earn an income at the time of the accident? Those are done under penalty of perjury, and they will likely get phone records too if they think you were gig working. And when they find out you're lying, you will perjure yourself and you will go to jail, or at least be fined very heavily and maybe even go to jail as well. I added the rideshare endorsement to my policy, not worth the risk of being caught in a loophole for me. Good. Allstate calls it rideshare endorsement. If you are driving people, I would recommend you pay the extra couple bucks a month to have it. But if you are just hauling food, just go with the basics. If that's how they handle it, then that's fine, but make sure that's how they handle it. This is the last one I'm going to read here. You better tell them, because if something happens and you don't have the endorsement and frankly business liability insurance, you are going to regret it big time. You are an independent contractor, a business owner, not an employee. It means you have to foot the bills for everything, and your insurance coverage needs to know. There are tons of stories of dashers having entire claims denied because they got into an accident while dashing in their personal vehicles, and that's enough for an insurer to refuse a claim. This is why they ask you how often and how far you drive, if you use the vehicle for business, etc. If you say no and file a claim while doing it, that's very, very bad news. I could not have said it any better myself. Big round of applause! Well said. Well said. Could not have said it better myself. And that's a great way to wrap up this show. Wow. 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 And wow. Let's go back to full screen. All right. Still got 9 people here. Thank you so much for being here. All right, folks. Look. All I'm going to do to wrap this up is say, do the right thing. It's not worth shortchanging things when it comes to liability. Protect yourself as best as possible. Because the moment that something happens and it's going to cost you everything is the moment you're going to say, shit, I should have listened to Eli. I should have listened to other people that told me get the proper insurance, right? Those of you that are watching this video right now have the opportunity to do the right thing before it's too late. Do the right thing. And if you can't afford the extra insurance or, can't change to a carrier that's going to cover you for this gig work, right? Because it would increase, because the rates you have now are the best, but your company doesn't offer that insurance, then just don't do the work. Don't do it. That's why I decided to stop doing DoorDash and Uber Eats, because I'd have to leave my company that's given me the best rates for 25 years. Nobody comes close to Mercury. And they don't cover DoorDash and Uber Eats. They cover ride sharing from Uber and Lyft, but not food delivery. I'm getting a bunch of smiley faces. That's nice. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. I have the emoji thing on, or whatever it is. YouTube started this new thing, which is cool. But anyway, just do the right thing, folks. Do the right thing. Be proactive. And that way, you're not going to put yourself in a bad position that's going to be hard or impossible to get out of. With that being said, folks, like I've been mentioning throughout the show, more content is coming to my channel soon, right here on Coach Eli, 2 authentic live streams. My lady and I will probably do a show sometime later this week, and probably sometime early next week, I'll be starting a new series with my friend Chad from Vegas. That's a DoorDash driver. He's been a DoorDash driver for many years, and he's seen the highs and lows of DoorDash. And between him and I, we've experienced so much that we're going to bring you the best information possible so you can make the best decisions while you're out there on the road, or if this is even the right thing for you to continue doing. So that is that. With that being said, have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other.